People don't understand me and my affinity for making fishing lures because I don't fish. But you got to have a hobby, right?
I guess you tying flies?
Well, when I'm having fun.
That's good. Do I need to drop this?
Hopefully not.
Okay.
Hopefully not. It literally adds a half hour to my workflow. Also, I want to monetize these lives eventually.
Are we live? Are we live?
We are live, I believe.
Hi, everybody who's might be watching at 11:30 on a cool Friday night.
Yeah, sorry for the lack of notification ahead of time, but we didn't know what we were doing until it was way too late.
That's part of the excitement, isn't it?
Yeah, we could drop it any time, like your F-bomb.
You know, exactly. Just like the F-bomb.
Just like the F-bomb.
Right?
We check and make sure we're live. Whoa. Oh, my goodness. Home.
We're the kids in America. Whoa.
Whoa. Now, who sings that?
Kim Wilde.
Kim Wilde. Okay.
I think it's Wilde with an E at the end.
Like Wildy?
Kim Wildy. Wildy Coyote. YouTube.
Whatever happened to him?
He fell off a cliff.
Yeah, I guess we didn't hear much from him anymore. Okay, we got to remember to take let's see, let me get my camera set up. We got to remember to take a break about an hour in.
Yep. I think that's cool. Where do I see we're live? I guess I go to your channel.
YouTube. You can check YouTube, but I checked
feel
YouTube
like
and we look like we're live on YouTube. I think by next week we should be live on Facebook.
Yeah, okay, there it goes. Yeah, live now. There we go.
Yep. I think that's cool.
Okay, close.
Ooh, I like that.
Where do I see we're live? I guess I go to your channel.
Oh, I'm so loud.
Did you check out your the thing I edited you sent me without saying it?
Oh, I did not check it out yet. I figured that you would have it under control, and
Yeah,
I know it's only 45 seconds and 45 seconds, but
Yeah.
I don't know. I saw it was there, and I was like, "Oh, good, he got it." And I guess he put it up, and then I moved on to the patient that came into the room.
Whoa.
So, whoa.
Luckily, you have a lot of patience. I have infinite patience. That's one of my superpowers and also one of my downfalls.
I have infinite patience and infinite combinations.
Okay, do I look scruffy enough?
I think you do.
Okay.
You got the beard going.
Okay. Hello, Trek Explorers, and welcome back to Trek Exploration. I'm Albie.
No, I'm Chris.
Okay, I'm going to do that one more time.
Is there a reason?
There is a delay in the feed, I think. Something happened. Okay.
Gotcha.
Hello, Trek Explorers, and welcome back to Trek Exploration. I'm Albie.
And I'm Chris.
And today we are talking about Season 1, Episode 1 of Star Trek Strange New Worlds.
Strange New Worlds?
Strange New Worlds. Season 1, Episode 1 of Strange New Worlds. Strange New Worlds, Season 1 of Episode... What? Oh, the title is the title?
Yes, the title is the title of the show. Strange New Worlds, Season 1, Episode 1, Strange New Worlds.
Interesting choice.
Right?
Original air date, Cinco de Mayo, 2022. May 5th, 2022. Story by Akiva Goldsman and Alex Kurtzman and Jenny Lumet or Lumet?
Lumet, I don't know.
Lumet. Teleplay by Akiva Goldsman, directed by Akiva Goldsman, and I'll keep it going. I think I like Akiva Goldsman. Okay, Chris.
Hey.
Query. You're supposed to say response.
Response.
How you doing?
I'm doing okay now that I know the queer response thing. That was a kind of a weird scene, but it's just plugging along here. I came out with this is going to be TMI. I came out like this weird rash. For weeks, I've had this itchy scalp, and I didn't know what it was. And then just starting like last week on New Year's week, it started like going to the back of my neck, and then it was on like my deltoid area, and it's just I haven't done anything different. I haven't eaten anything different. I haven't changed my soaps. I haven't done anything. It's just this, and I was in agony. Like it was just like it was on my face. That's why we didn't record last night.
Yeah.
Did
you seek help immediately? Did you call poison control?
I sought help. I went to the doctor today, and she's like, "Tell me what's going on." And she's like, "I have no idea what's going on," but she put me on a dose pack. So, I took some pills. I guess like a low dose steroid that you take a series of them. So it came in like a little sleeve. And beefcake.
Yeah, tell me more. I took steroids once in my life. Tell me more about your steroids, though.
Well, it's 6 pills one day, 5 pills the next day, 4 pills the next day, so it weans it off. But
so a pattern is emerging.
Here's my dirty secret. I work for a pain management medical company, and we see patients all day, and we have low dose steroids that go with the injections that we give for pain management. We're non-opioid, like nothing addictive, but we'll occasionally put a low dose steroid to help decrease inflammation and help things loosen up. So we had dexamethasone on hand, and Lord said, just give yourself a shot of 4 ml of Dex. And I had one of the practitioners do it, and that really helped. So I'm much better now because I have substances running through my body that are counteracting whatever this freaking rash is. So that's enough about me. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing okay. Did I disturb you? Are you naked?
I'm not. Why would you ask that? Oh no, I'm wearing a chest bra. I'm wearing a sticky chest bra.
That was hot. I don't know. We'll get there. I know. But man, wow. Yeah, I was just riding my horse, and I grew this beard, and I don't know. I don't really have to be back to the podcast until it's fully refit.
So, I'm sorry I called you back early, but we need you.
I don't even know why I'm here, and I don't think you're hearing me. I think you need to find somebody else.
The Turksploration is in trouble, and you got to suck it up. You got to walk it off.
Then you say, "What happened?"
What happened?
It's classified.
You can't even tell your superior officer it's classified.
No, that's when you know something's really classified.
It's classified from all Star Trek, it turns out. So
yeah,
it was so classified that nobody knew about it.
So classified they only talk about it in the hallways.
Right.
The turbolifts. Okay.
Occasionally, if they're alone.
So what would steroids fix? What was it?
Dude, I don't know. I don't know what steroids do. They're magic. They're magic.
Yeah,
you can't have too many of them for too long, but in small doses, they could really work wonders. They can cure infections. They I don't know what they do. As far as I know, they decrease inflammation. But it helped stop the itching. It helped stop and I still don't know what was going on. But if these steroids just knock it out of my system, then hey, if they don't, I'm going to say, in the comments below, tell me how to self-cure.
Yeah, you live with a nurse, almost doctor, right?
Yeah, she's an NP. I live with a nurse practitioner.
So she should know all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, she knows a lot of it. So
that's good. So at least you're in good hands.
I'm in good hands.
It just seemed like a commercial from the early 1980s. Like, my scalp's itching, my this is itching. I don't know what to do. It might be ring around the collar. They ring around the collar, right?
I wish it was dandruff or detergent. I could fix both of those.
Yeah, I think we went through a list. I was asking you all these things, probably that your same doctor asked you and everybody.
Yeah.
Right.
Dude, I don't know.
Yeah, I was a skinny little kid until I took steroids. It was for part of the Lyme disease, along with the IV tetracycline for a while. And then I just blew up and got big and fat. And I was a fat kid, and I had to shop in the husky section.
Well, I mean, I was a fat kid, too, until I was about, I guess, 12 or 13, until I hit puberty. And then
puberty. That's normal with puberty. You kind of just jump up in places, right?
We had the opposite. I was fat throughout my entire childhood. I was a little roly-poly. And then I hit puberty, and I grew several inches that day. And I've always...
3 sizes.
I wouldn't say I'm slim, but I've been, much more fit than I was as a child.
Fit. When I saw you, I thought you're fit. Muscle.
So we talk about this way too much. That's our,
way too much.
Way too much.
So before we talk about Star Trek: Strange New World, Season 1, Episode 1, Strange New World, Star Trek: Strange New World, Season 1, Episode 1, Strange New World, that aired May 5th, 2022. Story by Akiva Goldsman and Alex Kurtzman and Jenny Lumet. I'm going to go with Lumet. Teleplay by Akiva Goldsman and directed by Akiva Goldsman and production assistant Akiva Goldsman.
Best boy, Akiva Goldsman. Grip, Akiva Goldsman.
Best boy, gaffer, Akiva Goldsman. It was the pandemic when they started this, so he had to do a lot of things. He had very many hats, but I think he did okay. Do we do first impressions or do we do episode synopsis first?
Let's do the synopsis first.
Sounds
what do you
great.
say? We'll do the synopsis. So I wrote this one. It's kind of long, a little self-indulgent, but I was having fun. So everybody with me. Prepare to edit, Albie. We open up on an alien world with a voiceover soliloquy by Number One about the wonders of first contact. It's all very inspirational and Star Trek-y. And then we cut to Pike in his Bear Creek, Montana cabin, having breakfast with his main squeeze, Captain Battelle.
Hello.
Steadfastly ignoring his beeping communicator and her inquiries as to why he's so introverted and moping in self-imposed exile. Turns out Pike is having PTSD flashbacks of his time in the Klingon monastery Boreth, where he saw a vision of his impending disfigurement and death. Battelle presses the issue, but he gives her 2 beeps for no, and we smash cut to him majestically riding tango through the snowy Montana wilderness. The snowy Montana wilderness. That's better. But before he can stop for his frosty chicken tuna sandwich picnic, a Federation shuttle comes down, out comes Robert April. Hey, Chris, pick up your phone. We need you back on the Enterprise. Pike is like, I don't wanna. I'm haunted by melty face. Me and these chicken tuna sandwiches aren't gonna eat themselves. But April is all, suck it up, Buttercup. Una went on a mission and we've lost contact. Go rescue her. Cut to Vulcan, where Spock is having a dalliance with T'Pring. And what? Hey-o, isn't a surprise for those of us versed in TOS lore? He accepts her marriage proposal, and just as they're about to knock Katras, Pike calls Spock back to the ship. T'Pring questions Spock's dual loyalty to her and Starfleet, but Spock is like, chill, what can go wrong? After a hero shot of the Disco Prize, we get down to it. Una was on a mission to planet Kylie 279, exploring possible first contact due to a warp signature detected planetside. But once they arrive there, they find the super cool one-nacelled USS Archer deserted and are attacked by plasma missiles being shot from the planet. They discover that the planet isn't anywhere near advanced enough to have discovered warp technology, but have instead somehow developed a warp bomb. Pike, Spock, and La'an go to sickbay to get an extreme alien makeover, where we meet Mbenga, and Manic Pixie Dream Chapel. Chapel warns Spock that his disguise might wear off due to his complex Vulcan human physiology, but hey, what could go wrong? Down on the planet, the landing party learns that the society is on the brink of civil war, and the warp bomb is right in that building over there. They nerve punch some passing scientists, steal their scientist attire, and decide to beam said prone scientists up to the ship to sleep it off in sickbay, because that's a great idea and nothing could possibly go wrong. Once in, they rescue Una, who explains the warp bomb. Turns out that Kylie 279 had a front seat to the Disco Season 2 finale, where they had a giant space battle and opened a wormhole to the future. They stared at it through their telescopes, and they were able to reverse engineer enough warp technology to make the bomb. I don't know how that works, but they're pretty smart if they can do that.
Yeah.
But before we can go any further, Spock's genetic makeup wears off, they beat up the witnesses, and beam Una back to the Enterprise, where, by the way, the 2 scientists totally woke up and saw the entire ship. Pike has decided that due to the inadvertent Federation tampering with the natural evolution of Kylie 279, General Order 1 no longer applies, and goes to their leader. He's like, you don't want to use this warp bomb. You're not ready. You're too primitive. And the president lady is all like, don't patronize me, shiphead. I need this big stick to beat our centuries-old enemies. And Pike is like, you want a big stick? And he orders the Enterprise to come down over the Capitol. A summit quickly follows where Pike uses footage from January 6th as a cautionary tale of Earth's eventual slide into civil war, eugenics war, and World War III, with harrowing footage of cities being annihilated. He's like, hey, been there, done that. You can make a better choice. Since you know about us now, why not join the Federation instead? He then gives a grand speech about the future being what we make it. He mentally hugs Melty Chair him, and the Enterprise goes off to discover strange new worlds. This time, for the first time on Star Trek Strange New Worlds, Episode 1, Strange New Worlds.
Episode 1, Strange New Worlds. Why did they go with that title?
I
feel like the first episode of Star Trek being called Star Trek.
They wanted to call it Strange New World, but that was already the title of a Enterprise episode, I guess, right?
Maybe. Is it?
Yeah, it is. That's like, I think the third or the second one where they're on the planet and they're all going crazy.
Oh, yeah. They're all blaming T'Pol for everything in the cave.
And they see rock people. They see rock people in the walls. And yeah.
She's like, y'all losing your mind.
She's like,
you're like, T'Pol, why are you talking like that?
Uh-huh. And she's like,
And
what?
then she like tried to make some mushroom stew. Wait, that's another show.
Right. She's like,
Okay.
see this pen? I can make it. I can bendy. It's a bendy pen. Ooh, you're all tripping.
That's how she saved the day.
You're all tripping balls.
Yep. Roll for Tarako says, "Hey Trekkers, hey, how you doing?"
Hey, Roll for Tarako, how you doing, Ruffalo?
Ruffalo Taco is here. And again, sorry for the surprise, but we figured it's better to be here by surprise than not be here at all. So.
Yes, well, he was watching an episode of Step by Step with Patrick Duffy and Suzanne Summers.
Step by step.
There are two Star Trek references in it. So I guess Patrick Duffy and Suzanne. I forgot that Suzanne Summers was anything besides Three's Company.
Let me put that on the screen. I was in the wrong chat window.
When I'm here it is. When
Step by Step with Patrick Duffy and Suzanne Summers. I used to watch that. Who was the girl? She's my age now, but was my age back then too.
Query.
Response.
I say Patrick Duffy. Immediately, what comes to mind?
Patrick Duffy's leg.
Scuzzlebutt. Scuzzlebutt.
Yeah. Is that the Man Bear Pig, or is that different?
Scuzzlebutt. That's like, I think, episode 1 or 2 of South Park.
Yeah, and it's got Patrick Duffy for a leg.
Yes, exactly. So
that's when you knew it was going to be a good few decades of a show.
We're on the same wavelength.
We are on the same page. Because, I mean, anything is scary, but if it has Patrick Duffy for a leg, much scarier.
Can't be that bad. Can't be that bad.
Stacey Keenan. Wow. I think I pulled that out of my brain. Am I right?
She was My Two Dads, Stacey
Yeah,
Keenan.
The chick from My Two Dads went on to be on Step by Step.
BJ and the Bear and Paul Reiser.
Yep. So, yeah.
And Fish's wife was in that too.
Abe Vigoda? Mrs. Abe Vigoda?
Mrs. Fish. Bernice.
Maybe.
Bernice.
I can picture her.
She played the
How is that in my brain, but I don't remember what I did last Tuesday.
Yep, Stacey Keenan. Yes, Roll for Tarako. Stacey, whatever happened to Stacey Keenan?
I don't know. That's why I followed Step by Step. I had no other care in the world except for fanboying over her. So.
Yeah, we watched My Two Dads for a while.
Yeah, I thought it was cool. Back then, it was interesting and new, and they didn't have DNA testing, so.
Right.
They have it, and they just didn't want to do it.
And then they decided not to do it. I think that might have been like the season 1 finale.
Yeah, maybe I guess that was a TV version of 3 Men and a Baby or something. I don't know.
Two Guys and a Bastard. Ooh, did I say that?
So we start off in this episode. Well, let's do first impressions.
First impressions.
Okay, we'll go with you first this time.
I tell you what, man. I rewatched this one, and it's so fun to have some distance from it being removed from that last episode of Disco, and sort of that whole second season of Disco that was almost like a prologue for this episode. So it was almost like I was watching it as a stranger, not knowing what came before because it wasn't so fresh in my mind. And for that, I think it sort of holds together, but if you don't really know what happened in Disco Season 2, this is a very odd kickoff for a TV show because it's very good and I love so much about it, but ultimately I don't think it can stand alone. How about you?
Ruffalo Taco says, yes, she has a step-by-step rewatch podcast with Christine Lakin. Now I got a new podcast to add to my feed.
Oh, and she's a lawyer now.
She's a lawyer? Wow.
Girl, you're a lawyer now.
All right. So, wow. So, Stacey Keenan, yeah. She was a popular thing. She was like a Nicole Eggert. I think she was in that rarefied era of those few women back then that all of TV's income relied on.
But she was a kid.
Yeah, but we were kids.
That's true.
Yeah, I'm sure she's 49. I was just looking up Angelina Jolie because I had a hackers night last night, and I realized that she was born 4 days before I was, so we're the exact same age.
Well, there you go. Nice. Like it.
We're all about that age. My first impression of this episode, I agree with you that you about it's a strange pilot. To me, it doesn't seem like a pilot at all. It just seems like an episode of Strange New Worlds, but there is a couple of little groundworks for people who haven't seen any other Star Trek, I guess, which makes sense because, like, up until this point, everything was not your dad's Star Trek, but hey, here's a new shiny version of your dad's Star Trek. So, trying to get all the audiences, I think, back in. So it doesn't have that pilot feel to me, most of it, but it does in the framing of it, maybe. Or the narrating of it. But as an episode of Star Trek, it is like a breath of fresh air coming from disco.
Okay. All right.
And I think Kiva Goldsman is the guy to have in charge of Star Trek. Him and Mike McMahon put them together, and we'll have some good stuff.
I think people might debate you about Akiva Goldsman, but
yeah, maybe. But did you ever hear the story of why he wanted to do Strange New Worlds?
I think that it's maybe my first talking point. Well, first of all, people loved it.
Oh yeah,
everybody that railed against disco was like, "Give me more Pike."
Yeah,
Pike,
I loved
Pike.
it. I loved it. I loved it.
But I think what wasn't the mandate? Hey, we've been doing a lot since we rebooted everything. How about we just do Star Trek?
Yeah, how about we just do Star Trek? Right. But I think the main champion of that, because nobody in charge of Star Trek wanted to do Star Trek, but I think the main champion was Akiva Goldsman. So I think we have him to thank, because from what I understand, he was gonna write one episode. I was watching a lot of the 4K Blu-ray bonus features and stuff. He was set to write one episode, but they needed somebody to help come in, and because they had a shuffle of the higher ups, the showrunners for disco. It was just a cluster.
Oh, was that during the whole disco scandal?
Yeah. So he was one of the people they brought in to help fix the problem.
Okay, so that's when they got rid of Brian Fuller?
They got rid of two people that were apparently abusive to everyone.
Yeah, but I think Brian Fuller step back, or am I thinking of the new Quantum Leap?
I think Brian, well, whoever was in charge, whoever created disco was removed before disco started, and then there was two new people, and they treated everybody like crap, and then they got rid of them, and they got Akiva and everybody that was in charge moving forward, and it was all a happy family after that. But
production.
But Akiva had gone on the internet and looked up what this new show is going to be about, and the fan theories at the time was a Pike show, with number one and all this stuff, and he's like, yeah, sign me up. And then he gets there and he's like, that's not what this is. So he kept trying. That's why we did get Pike, and we got Spock, and we got Una in disco, because he was trying to bring that story that he wanted to tell into it, and then people responded so well that they just said, let's do Star Trek, give him a show. I'm glad they did. Yeah,
they were a breath of fresh air in disco, and they continue to be compelling. So listen, we're going to have a big discussion. Maybe we should tell people out there how they can tell us what they think of Strange
New Worlds. Can you tell people how they can
Strange New Worlds Season 1, Episode 1? Of course. You can always reach out to us first and foremost by going to our Patreon site. It's patreon.com/Trexploration. There you'll find what we're hoping to make main hub of discussion, and patreon.com/Trexploration will also give you all the levels that you can support us at if you choose to support us.
It's about levels, Jerry, levels.
You can join us there for free too. This is gold, Jerry. This is Patreon gold. You can find us on Instagram at TrexplorationPod. You can blue sky us at Trexploration.bsky.social. You can TikTok us, tiktok.com/@Trexploration. You can email us at TrexplorationPod@gmail.com. You cannot call us currently. We discovered from Listen Linda that the phone line is not working. I spent an hour before putting the rundown together trying to figure out why the phone line isn't working, trying to set up a new phone line with 1701 at the end, and none of it was working. I don't know if Google Voice has changed. I don't know what's going on. We'll be straightening that out at
I'll have to look that up. Just give my home cell now, and I'll just be like, hello?
Yeah, exactly. I tried to give my home cell, and it wouldn't even connect. So
why don't you tell me the episode you'd like to talk about?
You can always send us a bird that'll fly right into your big head at P.O. Box 542, Bayport, New York, 11705. It's like he couldn't avoid it. P.O. Box 542, Bayport, New York, 11705. You can also support us if you want to give us a one-time donation at buymeacoffee.com/Trexploration.
And Chris and I will actually drink coffee on the next show.
I do like coffee. It is a good thing.
And we're going to make it a thing. If somebody buys us coffee, we're going to drink coffee.
You know, I had my last eggnog latte of the season last week.
And then you broke out.
And then I broke out. Maybe it's the eggnog. Maybe it was
the eggnog. You said it was a couple years old.
Drink, yeah. But this was fresh eggnog. I had fresh nog, man. Well, I don't know fresh. It was the last nog they had at the coffee shop.
You haven't been wheezing the juice, have you?
Discontinued. I'm wheezing everything all the time. You know, I'm one of the hip kids. Of course, I'm wheezing the juice.
The hip cats.
Stop it.
It's what's happening, Daddy.
That's what happened, Daddy. You know who else is a head cat? The omnipotent Willard. He's our life.
The omnipotent Willard.
Thank you, Willard, for all you do for our show, you omnipotent bastard, you. You can also go to Patreon to join our crew of intrepid explorers. They include our cadet, Listen Linda, our Lieutenant Commander Scott Seligman and Cosplay Dad, and of course, Captain on the Bridge, Captain Charles from Texas. So thank one and all for all of your support and all of our free patrons as well. Thank you so much for subscribing. You can always comment right here on the YouTube channel too.
Down below, that helps the algorithm know you're paying attention.
Tell me why Google the phone is not taking our number anymore. I don't know what's going on. Couldn't figure it out.
You need a tech person.
Yeah, we do. We need someone that's techier than me anyway. And
it's almost time to get volunteers. Remember when I opened up the QLP to volunteers and then we had 38 people helping us? It was great.
Yeah, 38 people and no direction. No.
Because I was in charge.
Yeah, you know what happened? I took over the Constantly podcast. I put an end to that.
It's me. It's Matt. It's Allison.
It's Albie when he wants to join us.
Yeah, when I feel like it.
Yeah.
Let's see.
That's you know how I got everybody? I got everybody to stop. I said, "Hey, look, you're welcome to contribute all you want. You just got to edit all your own stuff."
That's true. When you get all these submissions and you got to edit them.
Crickets.
We can call you on Trek phone, like movie phone. That's fine.
Yes, Trek phone. Yes.
Somebody said, "How do you like your coffee?" We might have got coffee from Ruffalo Taco. So next episode we'll be drinking coffee.
How do you like your coffee, Albie?
Like I like my women, not angry at me.
Well, that's a good. Sometimes a little angry coffee can really kickstart you in the morning.
Yeah, I like black with maybe 4 Splenda.
Wow, that's disgusting.
Yeah.
No, I say that because I used to be addicted to sugar. So especially when I was young, I didn't sleep at all. Maybe I slept 3 to 4 hours a night. Mm-hmm. And sometimes I would be at work and I'd be miserable. And we had a coffee maker in the kitchen where you would put in, I don't know, like a pot or something. But you could...
Like a Keurig?
I guess I'm trying to remember what it looked like. In my mind's eye, it was a Keurig because now everything's a Keurig. Yeah. But anyway, it was...
Espresso.
It made in an individual cup. But then you could make it so that it was like cappuccino. So it was like ultra concentrated.
You bougie.
I used to put not cappuccino, but espresso. So what I used to do was I used to take 5 sugars, put them in the bottom of the cup, I would put 2 of the espresso shots through, and then I'd put half and half in there. So I would have like the creamiest, sugary, strongest coffee I could to wake up. I've since stopped being an insane person like that, and now I just like my coffee, hot. With a little bit of oat milk, no sugar. I'm off the sugar. Women. Yes, hot with a little bit of oat milk. Uh-huh. So there we go.
Yeah. I'm not a fan of oat milk. I like soy milk, and I'll take almond milk or cow milk if they don't have the other two.
Tell me if this is an accurate description.
Yeah.
I had soy milk for the first time in Vermont when we were away for New Year's Eve. I was in the lobby, and they have free coffee every morning, and I poured myself a cup of coffee, and I'm starting to really not like cow's milk. Like I taste it now, and it tastes sour to me.
I get the same way.
Like I'm off it. Like after years of not drinking it, I'm like, Mm-hmm. But anyway, they had soy milk there, so I put the soy milk in, and I'm drinking it, and I'm like, why? And it struck me. It had the richness of chocolate milk, but it didn't taste like chocolate, but it was evocative of chocolate milk. It's like sort of that rich aftertaste that you get in the back of your throat when you have chocolate milk, or conversely, like when you've had a lot of cereal in the bowl, and then it's like the milk at the end has sort of like that graininess to it, that like all the Crispix goodness has soaked into the milk. It's like that.
I'm gonna say that. I got to put that on the screen.
Yeah, there's a T'Pol meme with that.
Oh, is there?
Yeah.
Oh, show on stream. Come on. Okay. Ruffalo Taco says soy milk is regular milk introducing itself in Spanish. Hola, soy Dora.
So yeah, find that T'Pol meme. It's hilarious.
I'm gonna say that's the carrageenan, which comes from seaweed, and it's like a thickening agent. Because basically all milks is some kind of fat and water that's been hydrogenated together, I think, or emulsified together. That's it. to make it, fat water basically. So, and a lot of it is just thin. Like if you make your own almond milk or soy milk, which I've gone down YouTube rabbit holes on how to do it. It's just basically the fat and protein from something mixed with water.
Gotcha.
But the carrageenan makes it like a thick, like a chocolate milk you would drink. That's almost like a cream, kind of, yeah. But I like unsweetened and unflavored because they make sweetened and they make vanilla. And you don't want vanilla soy milk.
Oh, you don't want vanilla anything.
You go to make like macaroni and cheese and you put that in there and it just messes up the whole flavor profile and it's just not good. But regular soy milk, unsweetened soy milk, for Splenda. I try not to buy the $8 coffee, but when I do, that's what I get.
Gotcha.
I'd rather have the $1.38 whole pot of coffee at home.
Yeah, well, we make coffee like, it's going out of style, but you got to buy it.
You made coffee for me when I was there. It was good. What was it?
I don't know, probably house blend from the bean, Bayshore bean, or maybe Illy. Maybe we had Illy in the house. I don't know.
Sounds familiar.
I like Lavazza too. Lavazza's really good.
Never heard of that.
Lavazza and Illy are my two favorite to bring home. Laura loves to bring home Starbucks. And I like to bring home Bayshore Bean, which is like a local coffee shop here on the South Shore.
That's where we're a little different. Like I embrace the local culture. It's not my culture, but I embrace it. So I do 8 o'clock coffee, which is what the Waffle House serves.
Okay.
Like yeah.
No, that's great. You can always get a good cup of coffee at McDonald's. It's hot as balls, but yeah.
Not as much anymore, but Manic Pixie
Dream Chapel.
That was a great description because I couldn't figure out why I was infatuated with her and still am. Saw her in real life in Vegas. Gorgeous.
Yeah, they sort of they double down on that because her hair is longer in this one, but they eventually give her a haircut like she was a 3-year-old that got a hold of the lefty scissors to just give herself a haircut, natural look.
Yeah, you know what? Usually I can spot wigs. I did not know she was wearing a wig until probably well into season 1.
I didn't know she was wearing a wig at all. She's wearing a wig.
It's really well made. Her hair is totally longer and different color and everything. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
okay.
and she's Australian, I think.
She's one of those Kiwis.
Yeah, and she's rocking an American accent, and she's fooling us. I didn't know until I saw an interview.
Australian and Kiwi are the same thing, right?
Just don't tell Hayden.
Gotcha.
There's a ferry between the two continents, islands, territories. I don't know, but yeah, she's pretty cool. I like her. It's going to make my who I had a crush on later very difficult for this episode. We'll get there later. Let's just say whoever did the casting for this series, I applaud you.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's kind of weird. Oh, we had a couple of feedback. Should I read them now?
Oh yeah, let's do feedback because I kind of distracted you last time too.
Speaking of Charles from Texas.
Speaking of feedback.
I mean, just go back and pretend like I just
Captain Charles?
Captain Charles.
Charles from Texas. You keep us on the rails. I take us off the rails.
No, what I like to do is I like to minimize the screen where I can see you and me and put it side by side with the rundown, but sometimes I have to maximize you because you're just so compelling to look at. And then I'm not looking at the rundown and I forget to read the feedback. So
I'm staring at you too, baby.
This was writing to us regarding the episode Ugly Bags of Mostly Water, Home Soil. And he said this episode is TNG's Devil in the Dark. The laser beam scene would totally fit into a Star Trek 25th anniversary style point-and-click TNG adventure game. Do you agree with that?
I love that game, and yes, I think there's actually one level where you have to avoid a laser beam, so I wonder if that's where they got it from.
You can be like Data.
Yeah. What was that, 91? Is that the 25th anniversary? I want to say it was 91.
Maybe. Sure.
95. I don't know. I had the whole thing. I don't think I do anymore, but it was a PC CD-ROM DOS thing, and it was a couple discs because I had the good edition, and it had like video interviews of Gene Roddenberry talking about Star Trek, and video on a computer at the time was just like crazy, mind-blowing stuff.
Crazy stuff.
Yeah, I've never finished the game. I've only started it a few times, so maybe we can end more of that.
Okay, sounds cool.
Yeah, there's Star Trek Judgment Rights and Star Trek 25th Anniversary, which I think seems like the same game engine programming, but just different stories.
Well, if we can figure out a way to play it, maybe we can invite Charles to play as well.
That would be awesome.
Right?
He is the captain.
So, he is the captain. So any war games he should command.
Week of the 13th. Open up your calendars. It's a few days away. Next week, we're going to do Captain's Table. Every past, present, and future member of Patreon is invited to that one. And we'll post the link. And the day when we have it nailed down, we're getting closer and closer to nailing it down. We all have, well, most of us, everybody but me has lives and schedules. So...
You do too, after a fashion.
A little bit.
So we got another response. It's on YouTube from my friend Sean Ray. Sean, the mastermind behind the Infinite Potato
Alliance.
They're upset at me over there because I used to be on that Star Trek podcast all the time, and they said I deserted them for you. Them for you. So
it's not you. I took you at the last moment.
I'm telling you. But Sean, I guess he saw me putting my cup that my coworker Lewis gave me onto my Funko Pops, and he writes, Chris needs to complete his Frasier collection of Funko Pops. Where's Daphne and Roz? And Sean, I wish they had a Daphne and Roz. They don't make a Daphne. They don't make a Roz. I think we're lucky that we made Frasier, Niles, and Martin and Eddie. I mean, but the dog gets a Funko, but Daphne doesn't.
There is a lot of discrimination in action figures. I've noticed that.
Yeah. There was no Black Widow action figure. Captain America got Black Widow's motorcycle.
I would buy the Black Widow. See, I skew to the other end. I buy the women more than the men, but I guess most action figures they just want GI Joes to bump uglies or something. Sean Ray, I love all of his stuff. We've never podcasted together. We've had plans here and there, and I have something happen or he has something happen. Probably mostly me, but eventually one day I'll get on one of his shows, I think.
Yeah, I'm sure that they would love to have you. I'm surprised you didn't get onto the Prime Direction. I
might have. I might be forgetting one, but I don't think it was Sean I talked to. But it might have been.
Scott? Was it Scott? Maybe it was Scott, our graphic designer, because Scott's over there hosting that Star Trek podcast a lot.
Maybe. Yes, somebody interviewed me about my Star Trek fandom at some point.
I think it might have been me.
It might have been.
No, it was about your Quantum Leap fandom that I interviewed you about.
Yeah, that was different.
Yeah. So that's where I got
Ross.
Roz, not Ross. That's a missed
opportunity. Yeah, I mean, that's why I watched Frasier. Daphne, right? Or no, Roz.
I think Roz is a lot hotter.
Yeah, Roz was the one that was, the one that worked in the booth, right?
Yeah, she was the producer.
Yeah, I liked her. I think that's why I went to the career I did.
Yeah, I mean, maybe I was a producer too, so I was just like, hey.
And I found my own Frasier.
Producer.
You're very intelligent, and you got experience, and you use big words. And I'm the hot one.
I love tossed salad and scrambled eggs. And you are the hot one, sir. Yeah.
Everyone... They got all the Gilligan's Islands out. Oh, you know what I got for Christmas?
What'd you get for Christmas?
Grogu got me Scully and Mulder.
So did Duchovny and Gillian Anderson are locked in your basement?
I wish. But my murder room here, my space station. That's what we used to call it when we filmed Bedtime with Bruce. We called it the murder room. Because it's just a hidden room. You wouldn't know it's here unless you knew. You got to move the hot water heater to get in. But yeah, Scully and Mulder Funko Pops. So that was good.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, speaking of hot chicks, let's go back to talking about your crush for this episode.
Well, we'll get there.
Pixie Dream Chapel. So that is something that I wanted to discuss here because one thing that they've been flirting with, especially in disco, and everybody was up in arms about it, is they're recasting legacy characters.
Right.
For the first time ever in Star Trek, as far as I can tell, outside of the Kelvin stuff.
Yeah, if you count that.
I'm talking about Prime Universe, right? Prime Universe. So
Kelvin
this is all supposed to take place within the same universe as TOS, within the same universe as DS9, within the same universe as Enterprise. So it's imperative that they find a way to walk that line to make it evocative of, I guess, the characters that we know and love, but still stake their own claim to their identity. And the one character that changed the absolute most was, of course, Chapel. I mean, we've all heard the story about, I don't know if you have anyway, but number one in The Cage being played by Magil. And I thought that she was so much better as number one in the cage. And then when they got rid of that character, they recast her as Chapel. And I thought that I don't know if it was her, she was just phoning it in, or they didn't give her enough to do, or there just is a complete lack of any kind of screen presence anytime Angela's on screen in the original series, in my opinion, which is bonkers to me because when she's Loxana, she's amazing. Like she eats up the screen and you want more, you know? So it's funny that we have an amazing character that I thought she played number one very well. And then that was taken away from her, recast with Rebecca Romaine. We can talk about that. And then she was Chapel in the original series, complete, wallpaper. But they cast this Chapel to be so much more snorky and active and manic and pixie and
confident.
Yeah, I guess it's confident, and it speaks to the way that they have updated the old paradigm to fit with a current sensibility. And I don't know how that works for everybody who watches Strange New Worlds. It seems to be universally acclaimed, but at the same time, you have fandom that does nothing but bitch about retcons and prequels, and that all sort of went out the window here. And I'm thinking it's because they cast a white male lead as the captain again.
A lot of my instincts say that that's part of it, but I know for me that's not part of it.
I know. I'm saying.
Yeah.
Is that something we need to examine? Is what I'm asking. I don't know that that's necessarily true.
Well, as far as the recasting goes, I was trepidatious, but since they were recasting the cage basically, I was like, it's not like they're redoing Next Gen or redoing the original series yet. So I was, up for it. I was open to it. And especially Jess Bush, I think that's who plays
yes.
Chapel. I like the original Chapel, but more so, I think, in retrospect, because I know she becomes Loxana Troy, and she's Major Barrett, and, the queen of Star Trek and all that stuff. But I was kind of like when I saw the new Chapel, I was like, okay, that's interesting. But I think the character, even in this first episode, she's somebody. She's not like you were saying, wallpaper, I think you said.
Yeah.
Which I think her biggest thing she did in the series was get soup thrown at her and told the guy she loved her, right?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but this one,
there was also Roger Corby. She had the Roger Corby episode. Yeah.
Big dildo. We'll get there. That'll be a thumbnail. Last Outpost.
And we're live.
One of our highest rated things just because of the big dildo. And we're live. Can we not say that? You put Dill in the eggs, you sure put Dill in the dough, right?
Okay.
That's how that works. So the recasting, I think, was brilliant. I liked everyone they recast so far, especially Pike. I mean, Anson Mount, amazing. Peck, what's his name? Ethan Peck.
As Spock, yes.
Yeah, Gregory Peck's grandson, I believe.
Something like that, yeah.
Amazing guy, handsome guy, embodies Spock perfectly, I think. Celia.
Much better than Zachary Quinto.
Celia.
Celia, Rose Gooding.
Very sweet story she tells on the Blu-rays about how she got the part even though she didn't know what character she was going to be playing. And then after she got the part, they told her she was Uhura. And every time she tells it, I get kind of chills, Yeah,
it must be something to step into those shoes.
But and Benga. See, I think he was only in a few episodes of the original series, right?
2, I believe. He showed up. He showed up twice. Once he was smacking Spock in the face. And Chapel tried to stop him, and he's like, "No, I have to bring him out of his trance."
Maybe we'll go each character down the way, but the overall thing is, I liked what they did. I liked who they cast, and I liked the new takes on them. And I think eventually, if they get the seasons that they plan on, they'll get to the point where we know them. So something bad has to happen to Chapel, I guess, to make her so shy.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I mean, losing Roger Corby probably could, but we already saw what happened in the show.
She could be in a deep depression when we see her in TOS. You don't know. I think the overall plan eventually is Pike will melt, and then Kirk will take over, and we'll get some of the original series.
Well, Kirk took over the Enterprise long before Pike got into his accident.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was a transfer of power there. I mean, he had been serving with Spock for at least a year. I mean, it was part of the season 1, but just because they could repurpose the cage. I think in the timeline, the
actual timeline.
Yeah, the actual timeline. I think that they were in the middle of the maybe the first or second year of the 5-year mission when the cage stuff happened. So
okay. Well, he said in this, what did he say? 10 years, which I like the line. It seems like a long time away, but it doesn't anymore, or something like that.
Well, you got to remember that Spock served with Pike on the Enterprise for 11 years before, and the cage already happened.
Oh, so 10 years is about right.
Yeah, so 10 years is about right because I mean it's actually, because you got to figure Spock's got about 7 years left on the Enterprise with him. If you figure they did one 5-year mission already, or we're in the middle of one 5-year mission now. And it'll take a couple of years in that time, or maybe a year and a half or whatever, for Pike to get into the accident with the trainees. So
I think one good thing they did, if people following Pike's story arc from Disco on, is he's in a very dark place because he's experienced his not death, but death of who he knows he is, and it's just such a dark story to carry. But I think this episode did good in laying that out, but also by the end he's like at peace with it and he's going to enjoy the time he has, and I felt like that lightened it up a little bit. What did you think?
Yeah, I mean, they tried to dovetail so many different themes together with this one, and you have to start from this place with Pike just being completely, bummed about what he saw on Boreth. I don't think you could have approached this any other way, which is why it's a little bit weird for the pilot of a new show, for people that might be coming into this fresh. It presupposes that you saw Disco, and or that the cage or the menagerie. So this is really this is them saying, we know that primarily fans of Star Trek are going to be watching this, and they know everything that happened in Disco before. They know everything that's going to come up in the first season of Trek after. So we have to just put him right down in the middle of that. And if it is confusing to new viewers, maybe they hope that those viewers will go back and watch Disco. Maybe they'll go forward and watch the original series.
I think they assumed right.
Yeah.
I think most of the people watching, and if not, the one thing it has going for it is it looks a lot more like Star Trek.
Yeah, it does. I mean, and I think a lot of some, like the Star Trek sensibility, the 60s sensibility. Yeah. And that's where I was going back to, sort of the white male lead and sort of the very masculine. I mean, I'm repeating myself. I said this on Sean's podcast when we reviewed this way back when, but the way they present Pike in these first few scenes, he is like a neocon wet dream. He is like the mountain man, self-sufficient on his ranch, combating the wilderness, combating the elements, just anti-authority. He is just like, he is the epitome of the idea of 20th century masculinity.
Yes, what I aspire to, but will never achieve.
And Anson Mount can really pull that off. I've been watching Hell on Wheels, and he's really good in that too, because that's got O'Brien in it as well.
O'Brien. I was going to say, I don't know why I didn't watch it, because it's got both of them in it. So
because it's Western. That's why we didn't watch it. But I like Westerns too.
Yeah, so. Here and there I do, if they're done well.
And that's an episode where a guy named Archer comes on, and his
North Star?
his horse, North Star. Yeah. North Star and Tango.
Back to the Future 3, so there you go. So, it's like Firefly, so I could watch it.
Yeah. But anyway, so, I mean, I that to me was a very deliberate choice to embrace that sensibility and then surround it with much more dynamic female characters, much more dynamic alien characters, and to take all the stuff that I think we loved about the original series in the sense of that 60s action adventure freewheeling toxic masculinity, and then tempering it with a much more modern sensibility. And they did that right off the bat with Patel and the fact that she's a captain, and she's got higher security clearance than he does, Yeah.
I think it's the perfect balance. Anson plays it, and it's written perfect balance between masculine, strong, sexy, but also non-toxic and kind all at the same time. And I think that's very hard to achieve, but that's the vibe I got from him.
Oh, 100%. And as this series goes on, he gets a little too soft for me. We'll talk a lot about Strange New Worlds as it goes on. So, but let's just stick to this one. I mean,
yeah, it's difficult not to project what's going to happen.
Do like a retrospective when we're talking about that.
Yeah. But I'm sure it's going to influence it, of course, because we won't have theories about this season or next because we've seen those. Did I tell you there's a audio commentary on the 4K Blu-rays for this episode? So that was really good. It was with Anson and Akiva. So I found out a lot more in it, and it was really cool.
Well, we know Anson can ride a horse, that's for sure. So. Yeah,
and not a cowboy, or is that a song? I don't know.
Oh, I don't know. Is that Kid Rock?
Yeah, that was his actually. I don't know. Probably no. That beard was real. That was his pandemic beard.
Oh, cool.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
So, and while they were filming it, they were still under pandemic restrictions. And before he started, he had to do like 2 weeks in a hotel, I think, with him and his wife and dog or something, or at least him and his dog, not sure. But yeah, and it's crazy. And a couple other things from that, now that I'm just on it so I don't forget, is when he was, they did it in Canada, but when they were doing the winter stuff, it snowed, so they just went with that as Montana. So they, instead of changing locations, they changed where it was going to happen. And also Ethan Peck came out to that spot to do the phone conversation with him, like live when he didn't have to, because it was filmed in a separate location, the video call.
Yep. Yeah.
And then Anson did the same for Ethan. So like they were all team players and on board to do whatever they could to make the show better at the time. And I think a lot of that shows.
Yeah, I mean, I guess we haven't really been able to discuss Ethan because this is not the first time as viewers we've seen him reprising the role of Spock. Mm-hmm. It is the first time we've seen him as the Spock we know, except for maybe the very last scenes in the season 2 finale of Disco when he cut his hair. And when I first saw Ethan with the bowl cut and the classic Spock look, I was just like, he looks so much better with the longer hair and the beard. Mm-hmm. I thought that was just a much better take on the character, the way he portrayed it. And it took me a while to get used to him as Spock proper. I think that he does a fantastic job. Mm-hmm. I think that might have been a Chris problem, but I love like the little inflections that he does when he says sensors, some of the weird vocal stuff that the choices that Nimoy made. We always talk about Shatner and his odd vocal timing, but
when he says he doesn't talk like that.
Yeah, but Nimoy has quite a few of his own, and Peck kind of nails it. So, I like Peck in the role so much more now because I've gotten used to him in it, and I really think that he does embody as close as you can come to Nimoy. He'll never be Nimoy. No one ever will. He's not trying to be.
Right.
But I feel like he owns the character as much as Nimoy owned his version of the character.
I think he's very talented, and he does the work, and it shows.
Okay.
So what did you think of Pike waking up or us joining Pike in the Nexus?
Was there Dill in those pancakes?
There might have been. There was some whipping going on. I don't know. And Antonia was in the other room.
Exactly. At least he stuck with Antonia instead of getting on his dumb horse. He did the sex and the horse, not the into the sex and then turning into a horse.
And he only did the horse after the sex left.
The sex left, yeah. The sex is left. And
what did you think of the full-on back in Star Trek? That was something.
Well, we've already seen the Klingon nipple, so this is nothing.
Yeah, but was it? I don't know.
Well, I mean, it's what passes for a Klingon nipple.
Yeah, I think this episode was a lot sexier, and I was led to believe it might even be more sexier going forward. Not as sexy, romance here and there, but
Yeah, I think it's a nice choice because every captain we've ever seen has been a loner. Sisko not by choice. I mean, Jennifer could have been there with him, and he eventually found Cassidy. So, I mean, we have had the one family man as a captain, and that's it. So it's nice to see somebody in at least the relationship. I don't know if it's a healthy relationship, but at least he's got something more than being captain of the Enterprise.
Yeah.
Or at least that's not all he is. And it seems like every other captain we've seen has been very single-minded. Kirk is the template for that, of course. Never lose you. And Picard is just too intellectual, and he has a dalliance here and there, but it's his greatest regret in Generations. He never had the family. Mm-hmm. What else we got? Janeway. I guess she got divorced while she was in the quantum. Like the guy had to keep the dogs.
If you count that as divorce being flung 75,000 light years, she was yeeted.
It's better. She said for better or for worse.
Yeah, that's true. So I don't know if Mark stuck around or not. Probably not. Chakotay in the hot tub that night. So.
I guess what I do Archer a disservice because he did have a thing with Hernandez, so they did show captains fraternizing before this.
I always shipped Archer into Paul, but they went another way with that.
Yeah, I didn't see that. I liked them so much more as like a Kirk Spock dynamic. Although a lot of people ship Kirk and Spock too. So who am I?
Yeah,
who am I to say?
There's a lot of slash fic out there, and
that's how that was the origin of the term slash fic, Kirk / Spock.
I believe so.
And same sex shipping.
Yeah, well, one's a Vulcan, so I don't think it's the same sex. So I'm not sure. I don't think that counts.
They're male. They're not the same species, but they're same sex.
Oh, then it's okay, I think.
Yeah.
It's always okay. But
anyway.
But I think this relationship he has with Captain Patel seems to me like friendship and functional.
Yeah, no, it seems. I think that they both have a mutual respect and an attraction for one another, and that's kind of what I liked about the Archer Hernandez thing.
Yeah,
I think Hernandez was prettier, but that's just me.
Yeah, everybody's got their type.
So we'll know episode crush when we get to that episode.
Like I know we talked a little bit ago about Picard and Guinan, and I feel like this is the kind of relationship Picard and Guinan had almost.
Pagainen. That's such a name. Pagainen.
I made their couple name.
That's right.
Accidentally.
Pagainen.
But yeah, it was interesting. But you could see he was still like dealing with the trauma. Pike was still dealing with the trauma of going through this and didn't want anything to do with Starfleet at the time. And I don't blame him. If he knows his destiny is to melt in the stars, why would you go back there?
Yeah. But the thing is, he's got it. He knows that he's got to get there eventually. So he's going to still be in the fleet. He's still going to be. It can't be altered, which is nice. Interspecies ships. I feel like that's every Federation ship is an interspecies ship.
Right. That's funny. Sexy Trek going where no Trek has gone before. Ruffalo Taco, thank you. Because we at this point we haven't seen that episode where we get Monster Maroon Pike. Where he's like, yeah, you saved yourself, but you messed everything up.
Yeah. You screwed up Spock especially. So, again, we're projecting and splitting. And
we'll get there, but that's one of my favorite moments in the future there.
I just love to see the updated take on the Monster Maroon.
Yeah. So. I liked it. I wanted that the next day. I was like searching the internets. I still don't have my Monster Maroon proper, and I've been wanting it my whole life. I don't know why I didn't pull the trigger on that yet.
Well, now you can make one of your own with your 3D printer.
What am I 3D printing right now? 7 part digital displays or something. It's kind of like those old digital clocks. It's got a mechanism that every time you press a button, it changes the number, it counts the number up. It's really interesting.
Wow.
Yeah, it's complex.
It's complicated. Yeah, you're gonna have to show us that on a future show.
Yeah, it'll be fun. Rennie will have a puzzle to put together. So
awesome.
Pretty cool. 7 something display, 7 segment display. That's it.
What other legacy characters do we need to talk about here? I mean,
we start off with T'Pring, right? And Spock will be our next if we're going linear.
Well, I mean, so Spock and T'Pring, that was, I think, an amazing choice, showing them in a happy relationship, because in the original series, we're basically led to believe, it's very heavily implied that they haven't seen each other since they were children, and maybe not even then, because they would have just been pledged to one another. It doesn't mean that they are in any way, because Vulcan is completely emotionless. So it's just a marriage of convenience / advantage. and love doesn't come into it. And I love the way that they sort of backtracked on that and made them into a romantic couple in this. And it could be because I just really like the chemistry between the two actors.
Yeah, there was some chemistry.
Yeah.
Apparently, it got more hot and heavy, but they cut it out.
Yeah, so I mean, he had to kick them out of the restaurant. That's how hot and heavy it got.
You can't do that here.
Yeah, but seeing T'Pring invested in their relationship is such a complete 180 from everything we know about what happened, that it was just one of the most pleasant surprises for me in this.
It's strange because I love Amok Time. I've seen it so many times. I got to go back and see it now that you say that. But I like that, you know, their relationship has an ending that we've seen, but it needs a beginning. And like, I think we assumed it was from childhood. There might be some lines in there.
Yeah, obviously, like again, in my headcanon, like they met when they were 7 years old.
But maybe they didn't see for that 7 years. But I guess they do interact moving forward in Strange New Worlds.
Yeah, there's a lot.
Is it an alternate timeline? Because maybe Pike,
or maybe it's just something we haven't seen.
Maybe Pike knows about his future, so maybe. Yeah, that's true. But I like them together. I like their chemistry. I love the casting. Did you write the cast down?
Yeah, it's all the way down at the bottom. But this is another way where they're taking what we know and sort of reinventing it for a current audience and keeping legacy canon stuff in, but giving it a really interesting twist.
I'm going to butcher this, but Gia Sandu?
Sandu, I think, yeah. Sandu. Yeah.
Amazing casting. My favorite T'Pring ever.
Of the two?
Yeah. So far.
T'Pring.
And I felt the chemistry between her and Ethan and Spock. It was really, really sexy, really hot, and in a Vulcan way at the same time. So many things that they're doing here, and they just seem to work. I think that was part of the fan reaction, that they were like, I just love it.
Yeah. I mean, it's say what you will. It's just objectively good. Whatever problem you might have with canon, whatever problem you might have with retconning stuff that you hold sacred from the original series, there's just no denying that this is a very compelling narrative that's going on for us. Even though they're recasting people that you know and love, even though your heroes are being altered in some way. I think that they do it in such a respectful way, especially Spock. That's the one that they really have to toe the line with.
They nailed Spock, I think.
And
you couldn't do no better, I don't think.
I love the fact that Pike in this, when we meet him, is so introspective and a little bit mopey. And that's where we first met him on the Cage, when he was ready to, retire and go trade in green animal women and, or maybe run a freighter or something. He's just like, plenty of things I can do.
Go on a picnic every day.
My chicken tuna picnics.
Yep, chicken tuna. Gotta love that chicken tuna. I like my chicken tuna on lightly toasted bread, just saying.
I like my chicken tuna. I like my chicken tuna on sourdough, please.
Ooh, that sounds good. Pumpernickel, marble rye.
Ooh, marble rye. Pumpernickel is just rye, right? It's just darker rye.
I am uneducated.
That's why you get the marble rye, because it's just rye and rye.
And it's it's cool looking.
That's why it's so good. Yeah.
These people need to turn their airplane mode on, or would it be starship mode? If you're getting busy, you turn that ringer off. What the hell, Spock?
I guess you
her.
I don't know. Maybe you cannot mute communicators. Maybe that's the part of the oath that you took.
He's like, hold on, I made a commitment or something. I'd be throwing that thing over the edge. Throw it in the lake. I'll replicate a new one. Whatever.
Yeah, and I love the fact that he's like, are you naked? And she's like, no, but he was about to be. That's such that Vulcan.
Again, updating women characters for modern times where they're actually people and not just what would you call them? Like, I think, like they're their own character. They're not just there to service a male character. Yeah,
exactly. I think that probably Marina said it best. She wanted to do more than just be like a sexy lamp. I think Allison is the one that introduced me to that term. And I think Marina used it to say that they were just standing around the bridge looking good, Give me some character work to do. I don't want to just be the babe, even though she said, hey, I get to be the babe. That's great. But, you know.
Yeah, but they're capable of so much more. That's why I was so happy in Picard when we got Badass Beverly.
Yeah.
I mean, they finally gave her own character.
Well, I mean, Jolene said that way back in Enterprise. She said, look, you can have tits and ass and story, but you can't have tits and ass instead of story.
Right.
You know, and I think she embraced both aspects of that character. Number one, because she had to. But at least they tried to give T'Pol stuff to do.
Yeah.
You know?
It was starting to actually go, oh, these are people too. These are characters too. And as much as I love Star Trek to my core, that's something that disappoints me. But maybe it's just because of the times we were in and who was in charge.
Yeah, I feel like that really got rectified towards the end of Next Gen. Everybody became much more fleshed out, even though you had the, you know, like Beverly's ghost lover or whatever.
One of my favorite episodes, Sub Rosa.
Bullshit like that. But I feel like the female characters in DS9 were very well drawn, and there were a lot of them.
DS9 did them well.
I think that has a lot to do with Ron being on the writing, and Ira and Ron. But I've
Stephen Bear.
I've been rewatching Battlestar, and
how far did you get?
I'm in the middle of season 2.
Holy crap! I was going to catch up to you. I don't know if I can do it now.
Yeah, no, I've just, you know, I've had some insomnia, sitting up itching all night, so I've just been going through them. But I mean, you look at Kara in that. You look at Kara Thrace, who plays Starbuck. Who's that? Give me her name in real life.
Katie Sackhoff. Check out her podcast on YouTube. It's amazing. Her and Jonathan Frakes talking for like an hour and a half about just being cool people.
Oh, awesome. So Katie Sackhoff is amazing. Mary McDonnell is amazing as Rosner, as the president.
Best president ever.
And then I didn't realize this the first time I watched it through, because but I love the fact that the Cylons are the smartest ones in the room, yet all the female Cylons play their sexiness up to the utmost because they realize that is an effective weapon against human males.
It's basically a cloaking shield.
Yeah.
You know, they can do what they want as long as they're sexy. Do not light the candle, Revelo Taco says.
But Grace Park is great in it, and the who plays Six? Why am I blanking on her name?
I have her action figure.
Yeah. Anyway,
I'll think of it and I'll shout it out. How do I not know this?
Well, yeah, it'll come to me. It's because we're trying to think of it.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Yeah.
I got a metal block.
So anyway, but what I'm saying, I feel like the sensibility is there because the writers writing it were interested in exploring characters that way. And when he got to Battlestar, Ron was just able to do everything he wanted to do unhinged. So
we know it wasn't Ron's fault.
I hope not, anyway.
Yeah, probably not.
What did we read there from Roll for Tarako?
Roll for Tarako says, I just see it as an alternate timelines. First Contact changed the timeline, which is why there's a Borg in Enterprise starring Scott Bakula. Very true.
That is a theory that Sean Ray has had since the beginning, and I've always poo-pooed it. I said, nah, you know, time is like...
Yeah, it's always happened.
It all fits together like a puzzle, right? Yeah,
it's always happened.
Predestination paradox or whatever, I don't know.
I think, what was it, Steve Shivs did a thing about that episode of Enterprise.
But there is something that comes up in the second season of Strange New Worlds that basically establishes that we are living in an altered timeline. And
the eugenics war.
Yeah, and then the temporal war thing opens the door for all of that in Disco. So I mean, we had the temporal Cold War in Enterprise. They had the full-out temporal war in Disco. So all bets are off as far as I'm concerned, and I think that's great.
Is this the episode where they mentioned that the eugenics war and World War III and all that was all the same thing?
No, well, they said it went from the Second Civil War to the eugenics war to World War III. So already they've altered the timeline.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is, I really believe that World War III was an add-on for First Contact because Spock said to Kirk clearly in one of the episodes of the original series that they seem to have fought the war that your planet avoided. Mm-hmm. Which to me is nuclear Armageddon, but here it's happened, and now we got Zeke and Bozeman and Pike giving object lessons to alien races that shouldn't know that he exists. So
that was a great kernel of an idea that they did with this episode, which was that whole thing about you never believe that you're going to die until it happens, and then you're surprised by it.
And so, I mean, maybe we can start talking about some of the non-legacy characters. I mean, I'd love to talk about Uhura here, but it's just introduced that she will be part of the crew. She doesn't really get to do that much. She's got that one elevator scene.
Yeah,
you know,
which was great. She nailed that too.
Yeah,
everybody nailed that. That was great.
I have a lot to say about Celia, but we'll be able to talk about her in greater detail.
Yeah,
as the series goes.
Love her as Uhura. I never thought I would. Well, all three of them. You know, I mean, Zoe Saldana. I mean, come on.
So, what do you think about now? This is where I have problems. Melissa Navia's character. I fly the ship. I fly the ship. I fly the ship. I fly the ship. I mean, that's her whole character. I am not against the idea of Ortiz, but she is the one character on this show that, and spoilers, we're jumping the timeline. In my opinion, they still don't know how to write her.
I'm hoping season 3.
Yeah, it's just.
What was it? Season 2? They gave her that one episode where like she's all psyched up. She's like, "Oh, this is my episode. I'm going to do stuff. This is my episode." And then it gets pulled out from under, and she's like, "Oh, not my episode."
Yeah, right. Yeah, I feel like,
that, right?
She's there to be like a snork machine on the bridge, and you don't get a lot of that here. But it's just like. Anytime there's like an underhanded comment or like supposed to be a funny comment, it's like her giving it. And people who have heard me pot about this show have heard me say this before. It's just like the bridge is a little too loosey-goosey on this show. There's not a lot of decorum, like military decorum, as it goes on. It's like, just people bullshitting in a student lounge or something like that.
It's definitely giving. I'm not getting paid for this, so I'm here, and you're lucky to have me. And I kind of like that. And I'm sure we'll talk a little bit more about that in a little bit. We have a lot more to go through. A lot happened in this episode. And we'll do that
a long time already.
We'll do that after this short break. All right. It's your time to vamp now.
I got to vamp?
Yeah. I'll be back in 2 minutes.
All right. What am I vamping about this time? So everybody's live. So yeah, it's roll for Tarako. Save me. Let's have a conversation here. You say, do not light that candle. If you're still live with us, give me a thumbs up. I think it's funny that I don't hate this episode more. I guess I'll say this when we get back from the commercial too. But what did you think about, if you're still out there, Roll, about this premiere? And did it jive with the Star Trek universe that you knew, that as you saw it, did you have any strong feelings about like how sacred the original series was? I might just be talking to the ether, but it says someone's still there on the live stream. So anyway, that would be something that I'd be interested for everybody who is maybe watching us on YouTube to put down in the chat feature. And I don't know what to say that I don't want to say on the show, so I don't want to repeat myself. So maybe I'll sing you guys a song. Maybe I'll read from a book. I have been reading some history, some local history, because I'm creating a character for a role-playing game that I'm going to be doing. It's going to be actual play podcast about the Cthulhu mythos. I guess they have like a Cthulhu role-playing game that my friend Rick is really hopped up on doing a session for, and he wants to do it as a podcast. So I've been sort of learning the rules of that universe, and it's very different from D&D. The character role, the way you roll characters is very different. It makes it very interesting. I kind of really like the dynamic of the way they do that. I'd love to play a Star Trek role-playing game and do like a live play podcast with Star Trek role-playing. I've looked up some of the, there's a book out there that has a rule set for Star Trek RPG, but it's like 15 years old. I don't know the last time it was updated. I'd love to know if anybody out there listening or watching has played any Star Trek RPGs. I know they got millions of them for superheroes and for science fiction and for just about any property you can name. I was even toying with the idea, even though I have no skill at this, of creating a Quantum Leap RPG for the Quantum Leap podcast, but it just never came to fruition. So any comments that anybody has on any of that stuff would be appreciated, because I've found myself going more and more and more and more into that kind of arena, especially when it comes to podcasts. I seem to listen to nothing but like 99% Invisible and Real Play D&D podcasts, and now Real Play Call of Cthulhu podcasts. If anybody knows any Real Play podcasts out there. Albie's back.
I didn't have time to shave, though. If it was pre-recorded, I would have said wait a half hour and would have shaved myself.
Oh, I see what you did there.
Yeah, I was going to. I'll save it for the show.
Okay.
I'll save it for the show.
I was vamping. I don't know if anybody's watching anymore, but no responses.
Yeah, somebody's watching eventually. We usually get about 80 to 120 rewatches of the live stream.
That's cool. That's cool. So maybe I'll get some comments. So all my vamping stays in?
Yeah, for the live stream.
Oh, okay, cool.
But not for the edited version.
Right.
Okay. Okay. And we're back!
Hi, we're back. It's us.
Thank you for joining us. We are talking about Star Trek Strange New Worlds, Season 1, Episode 1, Strange New Worlds, Season 1, Episode 1, Strange New Worlds.
Strange New Worlds. And just in case that's not clear, we've only been talking about it for the last hour. But
yes,
in case you missed it.
We were talking about the bridge crew and different characters. So to recap what we were just saying, could you say that again?
Okay, so we had been discussing the legacy characters and how much we felt like they nailed them or reinterpreted them in ways that made it more relevant for today's audiences. I wanted to talk a little bit about the new characters that were introduced in this, namely Ortiz.
Is that Melissa Navia?
Melissa Navia and Christina Chong as Lon Noonien Singh.
Yeah.
Which is a weird choice.
It is a weird choice. I'll finish up my thoughts about Melissa. I do like the character. It's kind of like a Mr. Kyle, but more developed. So if you look at it as like one of the characters that aren't in the main ensemble, even though I think she is, and I feel like she is part of the whole group, I think she's a more developed side character more than an underdeveloped main ensemble person.
All right. Well, yeah.
But I'm hoping we see more of her. I liked I Fly the Ship. That was one thing that got me.
I always said when that musical episode came out, I was just like, oh, finally we're going to get a look into her psyche. Because all we know about her, she flies the ship. And then her whole song is literally, I fly the ship. I fly the ship. It's like, you guys really don't know what to do with this character.
Some people fly the ship. I talk about Star Trek, That's what I do.
I don't know. But you're much more than that, Albie.
Aw, thank you.
For those of you listening on the podcast feed, Albie is now changed into his regulation uniform. Is that from Strange New Worlds, or is that from...
Unfortunately, no. This is... Star Trek 2009.
Yeah, it looks like the 09 just from the patterning on the shirt.
But when will we get to the Kelvinverse? We don't know. So I might as well wear it now.
Yeah, you're right. I might. You tell me. You're the costume guy around here. I've noticed that no matter who is making the TOS style tunics, they can never get the neck right.
Yeah, this is way too big.
Right? It's ridiculous.
I like what they did in this episode. The costume designer in this was amazing. Very good combination of the past and the present put together. It seemed to me like it was a nice collar, but it was a matching collar of the color, the mustard color. But they were wearing a black T-shirt underneath, and I was like, that's perfect.
Well, they wore the black T-shirts underneath in the original series.
But they also had this kind of collar. But
it was like that off-center collar, kind of augmented the off-centered part of the delta.
This was, I bought all of these. I bought one of each color and design that they put out for the 2009 Halloween costumes.
I see.
And the reason why was for my bachelor party. Like I sent out invitations, and it was, I photoshopped it. It was like a redoing of the Star Trek 2009 poster with the main people I invited to my bachelor party, like my groomsmen on the poster. And I bought a Star Trek shirt for everybody to wear while we went to the steakhouse and the strip club. They weren't having it. They wouldn't do it. They were embarrassed to be seen like that. Not me. I'm like, look at me. I'm just like a clown.
They were hoping to get laid that night.
Yeah. Well, I pretty much had a guaranteed piece the next day, I think. I
would hope so.
Yeah.
That's the way that usually works anyway. So
I have all of them. And hopefully we get to the Kelvinverse at some point.
So What did you think of? So we know Melissa's just still an open book.
But I like her. I like that she is uniquely who she is.
I like to,
and we haven't seen that character really, except like maybe in Aliens. She's a tough chick, you know.
Yeah, I guess, but they don't. Anyway, no, she's a snark chick.
I like that too.
I like the idea of me liking her.
Yeah.
I want to like her.
I think you will.
So
season 3 is coming. Season 3 is coming. 2025. I'm excited.
And that brings us to Christina Chong as Lon.
Wow.
So tell me what you think about that character.
My first impressions when I heard about it, because they let stuff out, cast lists and reasons and names and characters and stuff like that. I was like, really? We're going back to Khan?
Yeah.
And this, I was like, so unnecessary. I think it might just be to bring in people because, for some reason, I guess because Star Trek is so loved, Star Trek 2 is so loved in the fandom and it was seen as one of the most successful films. They always try to go back to the well. I think they're still trying to develop some kind of Khan audio drama or something.
It's based on a scuttled miniseries that they wanted to do that Nicholas Meyer wanted to do for Paramount Plus, and he said
Meyer.
They're going to
Why don't they give Nick Meyer a blank check? Come on, it's Nick Meyer, right?
I don't know, but now he wants to make this Life on SETI Alpha 5.
This is SETI Alpha 5.
That was perfect.
I've been practicing my whole life. Yeah, so like they got a hard on for Khan. And you can't blame them, so they tried to work it in. And I think marketing-wise, it's kind of smart to start off with because you have that curiousness. So people that are like, I don't like new Star Trek, that's crap. But they like maybe see a trailer or hear about it or read an article and it says Khan. So it's like, well, I like Wrath of Khan. Everybody likes Wrath of Khan, so maybe I'll check it out and see what it's about. So I think it was a good move. And now... after 2 seasons, I don't mind it, especially with the one time travel episode. Because that's one of my favorites as well.
If I was annoyed at anything, it was at that announcement that they were going to have a Noonien Singh. I'm like, why do you have to have a Noonien Singh? Like, what's
we don't even know who he is yet, really, kind of.
Exactly. So it's like, why do you need to pander and retcon Khan? And it's funny because I don't have any problem with them retconning and pandering in any other way, but I just feel like that was, to me, was the step too far. And the one thing that I don't like about the La'an character is she's very one-dimensional to me. She is the damaged, hesitant, I don't want to trust anybody character. And I feel like that is a trope in a lot of female characters that I read. The ones that have been hurt, that don't want to open themselves up because that means vulnerability, and vulnerability means pain, and we have to go through this character arc again.
Look who you're talking to. It happens in real life, though.
I guess it's just, for me, I've read enough books and seen enough shows where that is the entire arc for the female character. And usually it's around a relationship. She has a much more harrowing backstory we come to discover.
At least it's not a relationship.
Yeah, it's not because of some dude. But
it's a good place to start with her, I think, especially since the Gorn are coming, and it's good to have a person that was directly involved with the Gorn, I think, when you look at the future and how that plays out.
Yeah.
And if anybody went through that with the Gorn, that's exactly who they would be. So it might be one of those things where it's like a character archetype or trope combined with what they need to tell that story. I don't mind it. And I love the way Christina plays it.
Okay, and I honestly think she's very stiff. She gets better as she goes on in the role, but she kind of bumps me from this episode.
Okay.
Because it's just a little, just like I think sometimes the Ortega, I always forget her name. Melissa's.
I want to say Ortega.
Yeah, Melissa's character bumps me because she's too snarky and she's too familiar. I feel like La'an bumps me because she's just too freaking, dour.
Yeah, I've showed it before, but yeah. I like Christina Chong, so I like her personally. I like who she is as a person, and I like her acting, and I love her singing. Oh my god!
Nothing against her personally.
Right.
It's just the character, the way it's written. I feel like it's an obvious choice.
Okay.
where so much of this is such a mixture of different takes on familiar stuff. This is the character that seemed the most familiar and boring to me. Does that make sense? Even though she was new. Yeah, and what the hell is that?
You'll find out. Oh my goodness, won't you find out?
I guess so. I don't
know if you've seen that episode, but man, we find out.
But I feel like that was the Chapel episode with him in Chapel, not with. I don't think Lon was in that episode. So the fact that he does it there is weird.
I might be conflating my characters, but
yeah, I think that they maybe changed their mind on the backstory as the seasons went on. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't. The overall is I don't mind that they did it now. At first, I was kind of balking at it, but I think it's done well.
All right. I mean,
yeah, that didn't bump me at all. The name bumped me because it was unnecessary. I think to go back to the Conwell. Yeah, but
that's what they say whenever anybody goes off to a convention now. Conwell.
But if you're given the action figures, right? And you've been a lifelong Star Trek fan and played Star Trek as a little kid, and you get your chance to play with the Enterprise characters, you're going to be like, and this guy comes in, and then this guy comes in, and you're going to pull from all the things you love. So I could see why Akiva might have done that.
I mean, I guess maybe my problem is that you want a show to be its own thing. You don't want everything to be a prequel or a setup or some kind of nod to something is coming. That's one thing about Enterprise Season 4 that really annoyed me after I got to know and love the first 3 seasons of Enterprise. Before that, like Season 4 was, finally it's good. Now I'm watching and I'm like, wow, this is unnecessary. Yeah. It's like they're taking away all of the interesting stuff that was built for this show specifically and just making it TOS porn.
It's 2 different shows.
Yeah, and I feel
at the time I liked the Manikato Season 4 better.
Yeah, I liked it better at the time too, but now that I've gotten to know and love Enterprise, I feel like Season 4 is kind of like it sticks out like a sore thumb.
Now I like both, and I kind of feel like Season 4 of Enterprise, I don't know if they were told, but they were pretty much like, we can do anything we want. This is the last Star Trek ever. Let's Star Trek it up.
Yeah, and I think it's a fine choice, and it was something that they tried to get the fans back to the well, because they had lost so many. But this whole series is predicated on that sort of mindset, and I think that it doesn't annoy me as much here because you realize that it doesn't have many choices where it can go. Enterprise was set so much further back in the timeline that it could have done anything. Right. This, you're constrained to a 10-year period where we know what happened before because of Disco, and we know what happens because of the original series. So how much can you play with that without breaking canon? Well, it turns out you can do quite a bit, and you can break canon all you want because they're doing it left and right. But I don't know. I don't know where I was going with this, but I guess of the 2, this one does it better.
I think this is a cracker. This series, meaning I don't know if you ever saw the Eddie Murphy stand up, and he's talking about when you haven't had a cracker in forever, and you finally get that cracker. It's like the best food you've ever tasted. But he says it, of course, funnier. It's like you're getting something you don't want served to you day after day after day, or episode after episode with Disco, and you're just like, you're still watching because you love Star Trek, and you don't want to not know something because you love it, but it's horrible. and then they give you this episode, Strange New World, and you're like, this is Star Trek.
Yeah.
So I think that forgives everything that might have been criticisms. Like if Disco never happened and we were given this, there would have been a lot more fans crapping on it, I think. But since it was so much better compared to what we had been given for years, I think for myself even, I just let it go. Enjoy the ride.
And speaking of enjoying the ride, segue. What did you think? Because we haven't really been able to discuss this in the context of the Discoverse. What do you think of the redesigned Enterprise, the redesigned shuttles, the redesigned everything?
Love. Where I think J.J. Abrams' Kelvin verse went way too far. There's no way they're in the same universe as the original series. I think this marries, just like I was talking about the costume, it marries the past and the present perfectly to where it's definitely the same ship. It's just in better detail.
See, it's still got a lot of differences. I mean, all the Aztecing, there was never Aztecing on the TOS Enterprise, and that's just new because they need texture for HD.
Right.
That's fine.
4K. This was filmed and put out in 4K.
So it does look sharp.
Series.
It does look sharp. But they have, they call them the potato peeler nacelles because they have those weird holes in the middle of the struts.
Now I want potatoes.
Yeah, and for all that, every time I see the outside of that ship, I like it more and more and more and more. And I was just really, oogling and eyeing over the shuttle when April comes and lands and confronts Pike. Like, that is such a badass take on those clunky, boxy shuttles from the original series. I thought it was fantastic. So where it bumps me is the inside. The inside just is not recognizably the Enterprise to me. And I've potted about this before, so I'm sorry for those who might have listened to other shows if I'm repeating myself.
People that are #1 fans of Christopher DeFilippis that follow him from show to show.
Yeah. But, I mean, did the interiors give you any kind of pause?
No, and I think it's the color palette. I think the colors are bold, but they feel like a memory of Star Trek, if that makes sense. Like the reds, the blacks, the grays, of course there's lighting in more detail, but I kind of look at TOS as like if we watched a stage play, which it basically was, a filmed stage play, and enjoy the story and understand that, yes, everything's plywood, but, suspension of disbelief, but then we're watching Strange New Worlds, and this is what it would actually look like.
I guess the one thing that always bumps me about the new take on the Enterprise is, number one, it's too big. The bridge is too big. And it has a much more generic sci-fi look. Everything is so hard and shiny. Whereas the original series and Next Gen carries this on. Everything's carpeted and, muted. There are a lot of big jelly buttons that are very colorful. The uniforms are very colorful, but the bridge itself is not busy to the point of distraction. And this almost gets there. It's not as bad as Discovery busy, but
not Discovery or Kelvinverse.
Yeah, but at the same time, it's just a little too much for me.
Okay, Kelvinverse was too much for me. This is just right for me. And I think what they accomplished mostly is, I know it's not the days of television, but if you were flipping through channels and you saw this, you would know it's Star Trek instantly.
Probably
just a sci-fi thing.
Just by the tunics, you would know.
Yeah, probably, yeah.
Yeah, so.
But yeah, I'm a fan. Whoever designed it, I think they did well. And there's no way in the world they would just build it out of plywood and flat matte paint or eggshell paint and be done with it.
Yeah, no, I've said that before. Yeah. You don't have like the Vanguard series of a new streaming 4K platform trying to emulate something from the 60s. It's got to be its own thing.
We would say thank you. May we have another? We would enjoy it.
I mean, they did it on Enterprise very well. They brought back the Defiance, so the original.
And then the couple fan-made series were amazing.
But I'm just thinking, like in canon, in the universe. I mean, Scotty's Bridge on TNG, and they also went back with Trials and Tribulations to the funky velour styrofoam painted on the walls set, and it worked. It worked because you're in the universe. So now it's like, to me, this is so beautiful and so visually arresting, especially the exterior shots of these ships and how amazing they look. But you do a chronological rewatch, you have to, you just have to make
accommodations. Theory. I think. Query? Response?
Response.
Okay. I think the reason they don't do that is because people tuning in today that's never seen the other stuff, they would look at it and say, "What is this crap? It looks like plywood."
Yeah, no. I have
have to.
Yeah, I have no problem with the fact that it has to be done.
In the Venn diagram of things they had to do, I think they nailed it.
All right,
and I love the look of it. So I'm on board. I'm on board for the series. I don't know if you know. Robert April. You mentioned Robert April. I love seeing Robert April in real life. We've only had him in books before and in the animated series.
Yeah, he was been in one animated series, and I think that what is this?
Is that Counter Clock Incident? Is that the one he was in?
Clock Incident, and one of the giant Star Trek novels.
Yesteryear? The First Adventure? Enterprise The First Adventure?
No, I think it was this one. Hang on, I'm getting it. Final Frontier by Diane Carey. I believe this is the Robert April one. Yes, this is the story of a hero and a moment forever lost to history. It is the tale of Starfleet's early days, of a time before the Star Trek we know, the story of a secret mission gone horribly wrong, and an instant in time when the galaxy stood poisoned on the brink of one final destructive war. It is the story of a ship since passed on into legend, and a man we know only as the father of Starfleet's greatest captain. His name is Kirk, Commander George Samuel Kirk. He was a warrior born. Oh wait, maybe this isn't. I thought this was the one with
they did the thing where they bait and switch with the Kirk.
Yeah, no, yeah, right. So
This one got a mustache.
I feel like this is the one with Robert April, though.
Probably. I like the casting. Adrian Holmes. Huh?
This is Captain April book. I remember because there's a funny passage about toe hygiene.
And didn't the name Robert April come from like one of the original drafts of the Star Trek pilot? I think.
I believe so. I think Robert April was one, and he wanted Captain Winter. Because when I learned that, I tried to pitch a book about a captain of the Enterprise named Captain Winter to Pocket Books, and Ordover told me, you can't make a new captain of the Enterprise. And I was like,
did they know you were Christopher DeFilippis, famous author?
Somehow they just didn't give a shit.
Adrian Holmes, I think that was a good cast. He doesn't seem like a bad role to me. Robert April, we know him to be a good guy from what we've read and seen before. So I like having him in the show, and I think it was a good pull.
Yeah, I mean, he's a fine actor. I didn't know him at all, and then I don't know why, because I didn't even watch Fresh Prince, but I was watching the Fresh Prince reboot on Peacock.
I never watched the reboot. I watched the original.
He played Uncle Phil in the reboot. Yeah.
Oh, poor Uncle Phil.
So I saw him in that, but yeah, the original Uncle Phil he's dead, right?
Wasn't he in Star Trek? He was in something sci-fi too, I think.
Yeah, he played a Klingon in Enterprise.
Yeah.
He was in Divergence, and where they explain the ridges.
Oh, was that him?
I believe that was him.
Okay, yeah. I know he was in something Star Trek. That guy had that feeling because I remember thinking, oh yeah. Okay, let's see where else. Sam Kirk. I guess we'll get there, or do you want to talk about him now? What did you think about that bait and switch, that little trick at the end? Because I think we were all getting excited to see young ensign, James T. Kirk.
I was delighted by that, because that's another thing that kind of bumped me and gave me trepidation. No, Kirk is on the Farragut.
Yep.
He's not on the Enterprise under
Actually,
Pike.
you knew your stuff. Yeah.
So I was just like, so when it turned out to be Sam, I was very happy.
Yeah. And then I got happy. I was like, oh, you got me. And then I was thinking, oh, poor Sam. He died from the rubber vomit.
Right, poor rubber vomit Sam.
Yeah.
And, Lorian and Peter.
That's another thing. Is there really any jeopardy when you know how these character stories end,
Well, that's one of the tricky things when you're doing a prequel series, and I guess why they want to go far afield. You got to give them their own arcs within the context of this series that have nothing to do with how they die or how that they wind up. Like, I think they do a fantastic job of this with Uhura in the series, because we've known like two things about Uhura.
Yeah, not much.
There are 5 seasons, 3 seasons and 6 movies. We don't know much of anything about her, and they flesh her out more in this in ways that are interesting to the character as the show goes on than we've ever had the privilege of knowing before. And that's like something that's one of the bonuses, one of the benefits of doing this, because we say that there is a legacy ensemble cast, but it really is McCoy, Spock, and Kirk. And everybody else is just background window dressing.
Or is good at languages. She can dance, she can sing, and she retrained your mind.
Right, Bluey.
But I think what they're doing with Uhura on Strange New Worlds is absolutely amazing. I love the story so far.
So that's what's bringing in. Yeah, but like bringing in the Sam Kirk character.
Yeah, which I found interesting, even though I don't like mustaches.
Well, he did have the mustache. It was just.
But you have to, I guess.
It was just Shatner with a fake mustache when he turned him over. So.
I like where they go with Captain Kirk later on. Paul Wesley. I'm a big Vampire Diaries fan. I don't know if you know, but I did a paid podcast where I actually made a living talking about Vampire Diaries.
Wow. Making money at podcasting. Who does that?
I got hired to be a professional podcaster for a couple of years. I did that. So one of the shows I covered was Vampire Diaries.
Thank you, Paul Wesley.
Yeah, thank you, Paul Wesley. So big fan of his acting and big fan of him in general. And he seems like a great guy. So and you know what's cool? I think it was Ethan Peck. I think it was at New York Comic Con or the last San Diego, but Ethan Peck was wearing the Paul Wesley T-shirt from Vampire Diaries.
Of course.
So he's like supporting his Kirk, you know.
Well, that's cool.
That was cool.
That's funny.
Okay, now I guess we just talk about the story, because I mean it's a pilot, so we got to talk about all the characters. But yeah, the story. So what do you think of the overall story of hello, look what's happening, not good, fix it, do something?
I like the fact that the story relied on complication after complication. I was sort of making fun of it in my recap, but you know, it felt just dumb enough and just smart enough to be right in the wheelhouse of the original series. Why would you, in any circumstance, beam a non-spacefaring native of a planet to your ship because you don't have time to hide the bodies? So let's just beam them up to sick bay. Like, you know that is just a built-in, oh, something's going to go wrong, the person's going to wake up. But nothing ever comes of it. It's just like a little comedy moment.
It's a fun romp. They added that later on. They went back later on in the filming of the season and added that to give it more levity and adventure.
Okay. Yeah, and I'm glad they did that, because if it's one thing that, you know, if you want to talk about the story here, I did like it, but when they decided, hey, let's just do Star Trek, wow, they kind of went a little overboard on just the messaging on this one. They were so...
This was heavy-handed, right?
Heavy-handed, like, here we are, we're home. This is what you've all been clamoring for. We're going to Roddenberry right up to Roddenberry. You know?
But I like that. I miss that, because so many new Trek before that wasn't about anything other than saving the universe every week.
Yeah, no, and I get it. I still feel like the show needs to be a little less self-aware here and strike a balance, but it goes back to what I said about pandering to a certain mindset of fan. So you're going to have just the complete over-the-top embracing of what has since become the Star Trek ideal. Mm-hmm. So I
was shocked at the time how on the nose it was, and even using footage of the January 6th coup attempt.
Yeah, what do you think about that? I have very different ideas.
One, I thought, wow, this is going to let people know, because believe it or not, there's people on both sides that watch Star Trek of that disagreement. Yeah. That's been. I believe it. Yeah. So I think it gave both sides an opportunity to reflect on how divisive they've been, and maybe start. This is at the time, and maybe try to understand where other people are coming from, and try to work together maybe for a better common future. I think that was the moral or message of this. But it was still shocking to see, oh, wow, that's news footage I saw a few months ago or however long it was. It was still fresh, in our minds. And I felt bad for people that might have been a Star Trek fan that were impacted by the violence and death of January 6th. 4 years ago now, like we're right on that anniversary.
Yeah, right on the anniversary.
So I felt bad because it was like, when it's about Vietnam and it's it's I guess the 60s they were doing Vietnam, but at Vietnam times, but it was with aliens and different things, and you had to really think about it. This was exactly now, on the nose, and look back centuries ago. But the centuries ago is our time right now. Our time up here. It's our time.
So it's excellent points, all, because I feel like On the Nose is really where this diverges from the feel of the original series, as much as it tries to embody that feeling. The original series is by and large allegory, and they will use the classic science fiction trope of presenting an alien race with the problems that we have so that we can explore it, neutrally, safely, and expound on it. And I think you could have done that just as easily here with the two warring factions on this planet to evoke some of the stuff that they just hit so hard on this one realistically. I also have an issue with the fact that every iteration of Star Trek, while it's supposed to be our future, in my mind, and I guess maybe the whole temporal thing plays into this. In my mind, the Star Trek universe diverges from ours in the late 20th century. It's a different timeline. It's a different universe, but it seems like every show that comes on, Voyager was guilty of this. Now, Strange New Worlds is guilty of this. They have to set it in our timeline. It's got to be Picard is a little bit guilty of this. The season 2 of Picard, where I feel like the world that Star Trek evolved from at this point in the 21st century should be well nigh unrecognizable from our 21st century. So it always bumps me when they put contemporary footage or contemporary issues into the timeline when they were never there before. And again, they explain it a little bit later on in the series, but it's always something that has annoyed me about any new iteration of Trek. You don't have to cram it into our current day. It's okay for them to live on a different tangent, to be skewed into a different reality.
A couple things. I think, well, one, the real reason they used real footage was because this was during the pandemic, and at the time they could only have so many people on the set at the same time. And even the little bit of the planet that we saw that had more than 3 or 4 people at a time, because everything was in an alley or in a hallway or something. But when they were outside, that was filmed at the very end of the filming of the season, because that had just relaxed the amount of people that they could have, like background actors. So that's I think the real reason they used it, but I was still shocked that they used it. But for me, the timelines we're in the Terran Empire timeline. We're in the bad timeline. And it kind of diverged in 2016 with that whole CERN thing. They did a little zzz, and then everything went to crap, So I think we're just in the bad timeline.
Oh, okay. All right. We'll have to elaborate. We'll do an N more about this whole CERN thing. So I don't know if we discussed this on the show before, but I am fascinated by that tangent, and we don't have time to take it right now.
So I think we are in the dark timeline, but good for the other timeline.
I guess
they got their stuff together. They're finally they got healthcare and they got all the things that we need.
Yeah, but so I mean that's one place where I think that they could have done a little bit of a better job, just making it a little less on the nose, a little less heavy.
Yeah, it's still shocking. I think it'll age better than it did. On the day, if that makes sense. Yeah. Because in the future, it'll just be, that thing that happened so long ago.
Gotcha. Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, there'll be some distance there.
Yeah, which there might have been things in the original Trek. Did they ever use footage a little bit in the Guardian of Forever, right? But that was already old at the time.
That was World War II stuff, and of course they had faux rocket launches that were supposed to be set in the 1960s with Gap 7 and all that. So
poor Terry Gar.
Yeah, they tried to. Yeah, R.I.P. Roberta Lincoln.
Everybody's dead in the future, so
I guess. We
got to enjoy our time. So glued on lingerie.
Oh wow, I love it. I
had to rewind it a few times. So I'm with the new 4K projector, right? With the 4K Blu-ray player. And, I always thought, I'm sorry, that's what I enjoy. That's part of my, thank you. They did it for me. I always thought it was some kind of lingerie thing where it had different panels on it. But in 4K HDR, I'm sitting there going, I think they glued that on her.
Yeah, it just looks like it's pasties.
All the way down.
Yeah, exactly. Pasties all the way down. Turtles and pasties all the way down. Yeah, and the funny thing is, like you're saying, I'm sorry, I have absolutely no disagreement with you. It's like, wait a minute, I'm not protesting.
Yes. I don't know how they do it, but these casting directors are amazing. They get beautiful, gorgeous people on both sides.
Yeah.
And they're amazing actors as well.
Right. I mean,
you don't have to have one or the other. We have both, and I just love it.
Yeah. Well, so I mean, I don't know, aside from Vulcan Lingerie, are there any other like character beats? We didn't really talk about number one, but we got to know her so much in Disco, or enough, I think.
Yeah.
Do we need to talk about Rebecca just a little bit?
I like seeing her. She's awesome. I like her version of Una. I think the show needs her, and I think she was good in this, but she was just pretty much background. She was the thing that they had to do. She wasn't necessarily fleshed out, but we had seen her before in Disco. So
eating a cheeseburger.
Yeah, singing a song in a turbo lift.
Yep. So, yeah, I don't know how much they felt they needed, but also they couldn't do much with Uhura. They couldn't do much with Una because there was just so much going on with Lon and Spock. And they didn't even get to the chief engineer. I mean, Bruce Horrock shows up in the last 35 seconds.
I thought it was cool that we actually get teased by it.
Yeah, yeah. And I think that the actor who plays Mbenga is Babs Olo.
Babs. I just call him Babs because I can't pronounce his name.
Oloshimankan.
That's good.
I feel like he was the biggest and most pleasant surprise to me.
He instantly had that thing, that X factor that I want to know more. Like, and I knew, like, if I see him at a convention, I'm paying $100. I'm getting the picture with him, So, and the way his character goes in the future, pay off big time.
Yeah, yeah.
So I was kind of shocked that there was no Bones, and I wasn't as good versed as you in the whole timeline because you've read many more books than I have. I just have seen all the episodes.
Well, I mean, the books aren't canon anyway, so the books are just one writer's interpretation.
Kind of like a roadmap for kind of.
Yeah, I don't know that they ever established when Bones gets on the Enterprise, whether he was there before Kirk. I guess he's a late addition because we have Piper in Where No Man Has Gone Before.
Yeah.
And we have the Doctor who's the bartender in The Cage.
Yeah, what's his name?
How
do I not know of it?
I don't know. Again, it's the same reason why we couldn't remember Six's name in real life.
Oh my goodness. I'm still not even...
Boyce.
Dr.
Boyce.
There's a lot of talk of Jeffrey Combs playing Boyce. He's at that age now that he would like do really good.
Does Jeffrey have to be in everything?
Well, Star Trek.
Yes, he does.
Yes. The answer is yes. Yes, he does.
I think it'd be great if he, come back and play Shran.
Okay.
Who knows? How long do Andorians live?
I'd say let's go for it. Okay, 6. I'm gonna Google it because it's killing me.
No, Tricia Helfer.
Thank you.
I knew I'd remember it.
Yeah, she was in like 2 or 3 fan-made projects I funded, so I should know who the heck she is.
Cool.
Yeah, and she's great. So, Battlestar podcast coming soon. Check your calendars, 2029. Once
there you go.
Star Trek. Probably not.
2080.
What do you think of the opening credits?
I like them. To me, they're evocative of the original opening credits, especially since it's just like a minor key version of the original theme song. But with all the stunning visuals and that beautiful, beautiful ship. So, what about you?
Same. The same, but updated. What I wanted out of Star Trek credits, but beautiful and well done, and I love it. And it's very functional. I love the music, the little cues from this and that, and the little, what is it, a zither thing at the end? What do they call that?
They used the theremin for the
theremin. That's what it is.
Yeah, if they used the theremin again, and even when they were recreating the TOS opening for the 4K, not the 4K, but the remasters, the original DVD remasters, they found that the I guess the theremin version of the soundtrack was only in mono, and they couldn't find anybody to play a theremin again to recreate it, so they got an opera singer in to do the that was originally just like a theremin.
Yeah,
so
really? Yeah, I do remember that. I do remember that.
Yeah.
So we didn't really talk about the planet at all. Kylie XY279.
Yeah, Kylie 279. Yeah. I mean, to me, it was just Planet of the Week. I had no, they just want to show off more bumpy-headed aliens. And
was this the first time we started off with the perspective of an alien culture and didn't realize it was an alien culture? Because I know we had First Contact, I think. Didn't that start off on the planet, but there was at least a Riker?
Yeah, I'm not really sure. Yeah, it started off on the planet, and then they revealed that Riker is in the hospital. So.
Yeah, so.
But I thought that was a neat twist. I guess the one thing there is one more thing I want to talk about that goes beyond the planet stuff, but it is part and parcel of what happens on the planet. Transporter technology almost akin to magic. I think it's amazing that they have them just go in their uniforms and they beam down, and the pattern buffer can recreate the contemporary clothes around them, which makes sense.
It does make sense, right?
You should be able to.
You can't really fault them.
But to beam an eye drop into somebody's eye. And even Kyle is just like, it doesn't work that way. And so, there, I wrote it down, Ortegas. It's not Ortiz and it's not Ortega. It's Ortegas. Ortegas is like, make it work that way.
Find a way.
Oh, okay then. What? Okay. Sure.
It seemed a little bit on the eyeball.
I see what you did there.
But this transporter chief is obviously better than any transporter chief
ever,
before them or after them.
Take that, O'Brien.
Is it possible? Yes. Is it plausible? Okay. And when I had the subtitles on for the last viewing of it, he's beaming a salve into his eye to change whatever.
To change the genetic makeup so that he passes and can go and rescue.
Personally, I thought, they could tech the tech to trick the computer into giving it a green light instead of a red light.
Yeah, maybe those computers aren't networked.
Maybe they're smart.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know.
Yeah, there was things, but again, it opens up so much more because they're already saying, this is Star Trek, but it's not plywood. It's not, women can be captains, so set that stage right now that we can do that. I don't think they go back to it really.
No, I mean, there are some other transporter shenanigans as the show goes on.
But I always enjoyed the let's get dressed up in the costume of the week to go down to the planet. I always love that beat. Yeah. But it makes sense. I mean, it makes sense. So I kind of went, On the other side of that, I love the transporter shot that they did in this first episode. And it wasn't like 360 upside down, but it was 360 around.
It was like
I enjoyed that. I really did.
Yeah, it's cool. It's cool to make it dynamic. I don't mind dynamic shots. It's just motion and 360s and upside down shots for the sake of upside down shots is just a hallmark of disco's. It's complete extravagance, and it's just got and self-indulgent. Mm-hmm. This at least. It just looked more dynamic instead of self-indulgent.
There was a Picard maneuver in this, if you noticed, but I guess it's the Leon maneuver when she gets out of the chair.
She's always straightening. Okay, yep. That's an homage. Yeah. So, I mean, do we have any interviews for this episode?
No interviews.
Well, then you have to give me your episode crush.
My episode crush. My brain was melting. It's kind of one of those things, like Grace or Park. But I know we have a lot of episodes to come.
You mean Grace or Linda?
Grace or Linda. That's what I meant. Sorry.
Yeah.
You know what I meant though.
Yeah.
So, but the one that really did it for me this time that I was fully enamored with every single watch was, let me see the actress's name again. Gia Sandhu as to Pring.
I will agree with you. I do have my series crush for this.
Me too.
People who know me probably already know who it is, but anytime Gia comes on screen as T'Pring, that's all I can look at. So she's definitely my episode crush. I mean, she is just a knockout.
Talented actor, very believable Vulcan, and yet human at the same time. Fully realized, and just great job. She does a great job, and we'll see more of her. But anytime she's on screen, my eyes are just glued.
Awesome.
So who's your crush? Same, you said, right?
Yeah, same. What's your favorite part of the episode?
That's difficult, isn't it? I think the overall message, and usually, you know, I was raised by Star Trek. Star Trek and Quantum Leap made me who I am, you know. So I tried to learn all the moral messages and meanings. But I think I did learn from the story they told there because, you know, it's very politically split, especially around election times in the U.S., where I circumvent, I don't know, some words, over the United States for most of my time. And you can make others, you can other them and not understand them. And that's still a lot of me. It's difficult for me to understand how others have a completely 180 approach to everything else. And it still baffles me. But I think it helped me because I have friends or past friends or relatives that are on, you know, the other side of the alien race, the other alien race that doesn't wear red or doesn't wear blue or whatever. They did red and blue in this episode. I think that was a call out, but it made me try to understand others more. And of course I can't agree with them because I was raised on Star Trek and Quantum Leap, but it tried to make me sympathize and realize that yes, you can fight to the death over who's right and who's wrong, but then you're ultimately just destroying each other. So it taught me to try to understand more.
All right. I think that's
my favorite.
Laudable. That's laudable. I like that.
What was your favorite part?
Mine is going to seem so shallow. I just loved when Pike is riding the horse in the snow and the shuttle comes down, and just the juxtaposition between the two images I thought was perfect. And just the beauty of that shuttle was fantastic. So to me, I guess it's one of the most visually arresting pieces of the series, and new in the sense that we saw the Enterprise somewhat on disco. So like the whole Enterprise reveal and the hero shot and everything like that was kind of old hat. You know, because I had gotten that squee moment in the premiere, the season 2 premiere disco. Or I guess maybe it might have been the season one
finale, yeah.
Finale, yeah.
Just for that, what's going to happen? It's the Enterprise. Oh no, then we got to wait a year.
Yeah, so I mean, I had already, been there, done that, and I was really on board and like fanboying all over the place for all of that. And so since this had already been pre-established, all the stuff that you would have in a pilot been like gaga over was already known. So the stuff that stood out to me was the Vulcan stuff and the Pike in Montana stuff. And again, just that image of a lone man on a horse in the wilderness, owning his life or trying to come to terms with who he is. It's striking visually. I love the color palette because it's all snow, so it can be really boring, but they make it so dynamic. And then that shuttle just coming in out of the cloudy sky and, landing in the snow was like almost like a perfect juxtaposition of what 1960s Star Trek was. Sort of that rugged Americanism with gee whiz sci-fi.
That was a great part. I like the whole off-duty Pike. The what is it? Forbidden Planet or what? Day the Earth Stood Still.
Yeah, I was watching the Day the Earth Stood Still.
Day the Earth Stood Still. That part, the old phone on his desk. I like that. Captain Patel called his communicator the phone.
His antique flat screen TV.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't know how it's still working. That's crazy. Maybe it's replicated.
Yeah, they really know.
Replicated.
Yeah, probably replicated just to fit in with the decor of the thing. Yeah. So I think the 47 was the 47th time that Pike had watched the Day the Earth Stood Still.
Yeah.
So.
All right. I think it's time for me to ask you a question.
Please give me some trivia, man. Give me some trivia, man.
Okay, I got you for 3 questions. Try to answer at home before we do. All right. I need better lighting. Okay. Where do a small number of Borg drones go during regeneration that allows them to exist as individuals?
I feel like we might have read this one. It's Unimatrix Zero.
Yeah. Did
That's
we read that one?
from... No. We did have a Unimatrix Zero question, but it wasn't that one.
I think it was, what's the episode called or something?
Oh, yeah, something to do with 7 and 9.
We'll see. Unimatrix Zero, yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Number 2, you got 1 out of 3 right. Number
2.
What profiteering race first appears in Star Trek? Yeah, I think we read this one. Star Trek: The Last Outpost. Yeah, Christian Slater. His mother is Joanne Slater. We read that.
Okay, we read it. I was going to say, yeah.
Trying again. Okay, I got you for 3 questions. We're live. Whom does Lieutenant Worf mate with in the Next Generation episode, The Emissary?
Susie Plaxton.
Exactly. Perfect.
I don't know her name in the show.
Kalar. But you got it.
Yeah.
I'll take the actress's name.
Yeah, I know that because my friend Rick, who was on that Star Trek podcast over on Show's Network, knows Susie. He's worked with her a number of times, and he says she's amazing.
I think I've said this before, but hook a brother up.
Yeah, he said, nope, sorry.
All right. In the movie, you answered 1. This is number 2. In the movie, The Search for Spock.
I love that movie.
It's a great movie. What do Lieutenant Savick and Dr. David Marcus discover when they open Spock's coffin, in quotation marks? By the way, I don't know what that means. On the Genesis planet.
It's coffin in quotation marks because it's really a photon tube. It's not a coffin.
Yeah, I know. It's a friend's reference. Joey doesn't understand this.
Oh, I see.
He constantly uses it wrong.
Gotcha.
What do they find in that?
They find giant microbes that have evolved to be big.
Those were gross.
But I think they didn't find those. They found Spock's robe.
Right.
It's the Klingons that found the bugs.
Yep, you got it right.
Yeah.
That it contains Spock's Vulcan burial robes, but not Spock.
Yep.
Yeah, those worms freaked me out. I think they did that because of the earworm in Wrath of Khan.
I love it when Doc Brown takes the one by the throat and like puts his thumb in its neck and all the black blood is coming.
Goes, I invented time travel.
You son of a bitch.
John, number 3. So you got 2 out of 3 right. You got number 3. John Rhys Davies played Leonardo da Vinci in the Voyager episode Concerning Flight. I thought, did we do this one?
I feel like maybe they
named the recently revived adventure film franchise. Yeah, we read this one. Damn it!
I think we did.
We did. We talked about this because I watched them again and I edited them.
Oh, okay. Well, then was that Jones?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to get 3 more questions.
3 more questions, not that one. Okay. Unless they just print the same 10 cards over again.
That's what it seems like. It's like, did we get ripped off here?
Did we ever talk about Father Knows Best on this show?
I don't think so. Let's do that.
Which alien race? I got you for 3 questions. Which alien race mistakes Captain Picard for a god in the Next Generation episode Who Watches the Watchers?
Oh my God, the Ray Wise alien race. He also played the devil in the show, the funny show about the devil, and he also played Maresy Dotes and Dozy Dotes and Little Lambsy Diving.
From your answer, I think we read this question before.
He was possessed by Bob in Twin Peaks, but I don't know the name of that race. They're Proto-Vulcans, I know that.
That was your answer last time. Unless I'm having like really strange deja vu.
No, man. Well, read the second question.
last chance. Well, the second question, it was what 2-part Voyager episode Future Ends? To what year does the 29th century time ship accidentally send the Voyager?
Oh, I don't know. Maybe we've had this question. I don't know.
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
I got you for 3 questions.
They sent Voyager to 96 where they meet Ehrlich.
Yep, exactly.
Okay.
96. What Ferengi seeks revenge on Captain Picard? I swear. Come on.
You know what? We're done with trivia. We're done.
Okay, I can do this. I'll find one. It's got to be. Who acts as a midwife for pregnant Keiko O'Brien? No! What happened? This is not possible. What alien race do Guinan and Dr. Sung belong to? No.
Yeah, a Lauren.
Yep.
I don't think we read that. We were just talking about Generations, though. That's why you think, because of the Generations Christmas special.
Okay, they're a
So
lawyer.
you think, yeah, that's why you think we read that.
Oh, speaking of, we got show and tells and trick and tells. Okay, what alien race do Guinan and Dr. Sung belong to? We're gonna just go with this.
Yes, Elorians.
Okay, we need a better.
We need better. Yeah.
Number 2. I got you for 3 questions. This is number 2. 22. Mente dos. What malfunctions in the original series episode, The Enemy Within, causing Captain Kirk to split into 2 versions?
Transporters are magic.
Yes. In the motion picture, The Final Frontier, what musical group's jazz fusion plays in the background during Uhura's dance in the desert? I don't remember that question. So this might be a legit card.
All right, jazz fusion.
What, jazz fusion band? I didn't even know this. This isn't on the commentary. This wasn't in the book. How are we supposed to know this?
Jazz fusion. I'm just trying to think of any jazz fusion band, and I can't. So I'll say Ladysmith Black Mozambo.
Not bad. Ladysmith Black Mozambo. Yeah.
Is it them? Oh, okay.
No, but I remember who you're talking about. Hiroshima.
Okay, never would have gotten that.
Never would have got it. You got.
All right,
you got 6 out of 3 right.
I mean, that's a neat trick.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
All right. I gotta just start. I need a little mini paper shredder, so after I read them, I can.
Right.
But the problem is, you have the same cards.
Yeah, throw them up. Yeah, that's another issue.
Yeah, so maybe you've asked me or I've asked you. But
the funny thing is, again, the cards are they're wrapped up, and it looks like we opened the same packet because I still have one that we haven't even opened.
Same. Oh, yeah. And I got 2 versions because remember I couldn't find the one because Rennie straightened up, so I opened the other one.
Yes. Anyway,
starts with problems.
Well, yeah, we got 1% problems here.
Yeah.
So anyway,
do you have a Trek and Tell, my friend?
At your request, yes, I have a couple.
Yay.
Because you love old timey media.
I do.
My lamp just went off. Oh well.
It's got a 2-hour timer.
I just knocked it.
Timer.
Oh well.
Don't knock it till you try it.
I just knocked it. Okay, so you're gonna get unlit, Chris, for the rest of the thing.
You're still gorgeous. I saw you in real life, in person. I fell asleep one night on the couch, just watching you while you were watching TV on your chair with Penny.
Do it no.
So, ladies and gentlemen, remember we have a captain's table coming up. Distinguished guests, we have a captain's table coming up. Week of the 13th.
That's it. No more ring light for me.
Patreon for it. What?
No more ring light for me.
No more what for you?
Ring light. No more ring light.
Oh, that's fine. You're gorgeous.
Ring light.
The camera adjusts. I'm almost complete darkness in here, but because of the mood lighting, I try to.
So I just thought it might be. So anyway, since you love and you requested these,
I did. Just one of them, whatever they are.
Last time we saw, I'm going to do 2, and then we'll do one from there. Original series VHS that I still have. I picked these 2 because these were a gift from my brother. I had been buying the errant VHSs, the individual ones that came out when they came out. But one day, I don't know if it was for Christmas or for whatever, my brother gave me the Cloudminders, and he gave me Dagger of the Mind. And he said, these are 2, I don't know if you've ever seen them. So, and of course I'd seen them, but I guess they were unfamiliar to him, but I can't imagine that he and I watching Star Trek in our bedroom, at midnight on Channel 11 most nights, didn't see Dagger of the Mind several times. The Cloudminders was a rarity. I remember not having seen Cloudminders for a long time.
That's a good episode. You know my crush in that episode.
It's the Morlock. Or was it the Eloy?
The Eloy, probably.
Yeah, it was the Eloy. But what I'm saying is, I just was touched when he gave me these, and they're episodes number 11 and 74. So it shows you how this is definitely season 1. This is definitely season 3, and they're both good beautiful episodes in their own rights.
How do they smell?
Dagger of the Mind. Like dust, because they've been in my
like VHS, right? Isn't that such a retro smell? Oh, I love it.
Yeah. And
51 minutes. They got us for $15 an episode back then.
I know. And I have several more of these downstairs. But I have one more question for you, and then we can move on to yours.
You got me for 3 questions.
This has like a little thingy on it. I don't know why.
That I don't know.
So it has since
theft prevention. Does it have like a little metal part in the sticker?
No, and it has since like completely, evaporated.
Yeah, you might have to look under UV light to read it, or just Google what it is, and it'll come up. Or just Google Star Trek Original Series VHS image search, and it'll come up.
Yeah. So color.
Interesting, but I don't know.
Do you have the ability to rip VHS into a digital format?
Yes.
Then I'm going to send you something so that we can play it as an extra or play it during one of the shows.
Okay.
You know what? I'll save it for my next Trek and Tell.
Okay, do that. Yeah.
Okay. So what's your Trek and Tell?
Out. We got 900 episodes.
Yeah.
Okay. I got a show and tell real quick, and then I got a Trek and Tell. But the show and tell ties in with Star Trek, but it's not Star Trek.
Okay.
So last night, I've been down in the dumps lately.
Yeah.
It happens. I go through ups and downs. Last night, I decided to watch, one of my favorite video podcasts on YouTube is the Wolfpack LaserDisc podcast. You can just search Culture Dog or LaserDisc podcast. It'll come up. But like maybe once a month, sometimes twice a month, they'll pick a movie and they'll talk about it on LaserDisc. And they talk about different LaserDiscs or pickups and different things. And of course, I love LaserDiscs. But they did the movie Hackers.
Hackers? Which one is that?
Hackers? You haven't seen Hackers?
Is that Angelina Jolie?
Yes.
Okay.
You need to watch this. I'm sure you've seen the 10 seconds of Angelina Jolie.
Let's just say I have a certain hobby, and that's why I know Hackers.
Right. But it's really worth the watch. I mean, it's like the movie of my generation, And I had missed it for so long. I thought I had watched it because I guess it's just in the zeitgeist, and you just think you've seen it. But I watched it. There you go. You got light. There are 4 lights. I thought I had seen it, but I didn't remember much of it. So I watched it again, I thought, but it seems like it was the first time, or it could have been the near death and, losing half my memory and all that stuff. But either way, I really enjoyed it. So, and they had it on a couple different formats. They had it on like 4K Blu-ray. They had it on Blu-ray. They had it on LaserDisc. And even one of them, Ryan, I think, had it on PSP video, the UMD format.
Yes, that.
So I was like, I think I have that on DivX. So I have it on a DivX disc, which is currently unwatchable because it's the one format that hasn't been like decrypted yet, because it only lasted for like I think a year, maybe 1998 to 1999, something 97, 98, and it was only by Circuit City. It was you could put it in a DVD player. It's basically a DVD. You put it in a DVD player. It dials out with a modem to a computer thing to get a code to be able to play the movie. And you can watch it for 48 hours, I think it was. But after that, you have to pay again if you want to watch it again. So instead of paying $30, $40 for a DVD back then, which is what you did, you paid like $4, $5, and you watched it a couple times, put it on your shelf. And if you want to watch it again, you paid another $5 or something like that.
Oh, okay. That seems like a really bad. I wonder why they went out of business after a year.
Circuit City went out of business because of this. So it's a really fun rabbit hole. But me and my friends that try to hack and decrypt things, just to do it and see how things work. We're still working on trying to get that working, but it seems like an impossibility now. But AI might help us.
All right.
So the reason I was showing this is because I also have, which I'll show another time, Star Trek First Contact on DivX, and I think that should be our next movie watch along. Our generations did so well. I think we might bring more people to the crew if we maybe do another watch along as one of our bonus shows.
Sure. I'll watch First Contact all day long.
Yeah, so we'll watch that on DivX, and I'll show that as my check and tell for that one, if that sounds good.
Sounds like a
And
plan.
one last thing, I just opened the mail today, and look what I got.
Abraham Lincoln?
Donnie Sutherland. I don't know how to pronounce names, but he's a friend of ours from the Quantum Leap podcast.
Awesome, yeah.
Yeah,
Sure.
he sent me Scott Bakula's newest program.
That is beautiful. I guess, is that the one from the DC show?
Yes.
Thank you, Donnie.
Yeah, he messaged me. He said, "What's your address? I want to send you the program." I was like, "Yes, please," and he did.
That's fantastic.
And
I wish I could have
letter with it, and I couldn't go. So
yeah, I wish I could have gone. I wish I could have gone.
So thank you so much, Donnie, and I'll show it on the next QLP we do too.
Yeah. Donnie's a big, long-time QLP fan.
Holy crap! And this is my actual Trek and Tell. I'm so sorry.
Oh my God! Now what?
My actual Trek and Tell. I have a package.
Oh. Well, hey, then I might have something to.
All right. I haven't opened this. This is it. First time. Is it upside down, right side up?
No, it's right side up. It's First Contact.
First Contact. It's a mini figure that comes in a clamshell VHS looking box. I think
I thought it was yet another format that is completely. There goes the collectible value.
Yeah, well, it's brand new. I think it just came out recently. At least it just came up in my. So you like Star Trek and waste your money on it, right?
I was going to say, didn't you just vow to stop buying crap?
Yeah.
There's crap and there's crap.
But how can you not get the Star Trek First Contact VHS? I was happy with this, right? But apparently there's a figure inside.
Is it Ensign Lynch?
What you did to Ensign Lynch?
Is that Jason Voorhees?
I believe it's Picard.
That's a very happy Picard.
From First Contact. Looks like a Charlie Brown Picard.
He doesn't look like a guy who just lost his family in a fire and or had his ship taken over by the Borg.
Well, that was a few years later and a ship later. But yeah. Interesting, yeah. I know nothing about this stuff. I just got it because it's cool.
Yeah, good for you.
So if you got anything like that or if there's more of these, let me know. Comment down below. But that's my Trek and Tell.
Down below, Trek and Tell.
Similar but different.
The same but different.
The same but different. But now it's tax deductible because I showed it on the show, kind of like Michael Che and his sneaks.
All right.
It's kicks. Okay, do you got any cleanup? Anything in your notes you missed?
I think we talked the death out of this one.
Okay, I'm just going to look through real quick.
We talked the life and death allegory out of this one.
We did. Our pilot ones usually go longer because there's more to talk about. The fact that Spock knew that everybody knows there's temporal consciousness displacement rocks on some Klingon moon or something. Like that's just a normal thing. Like, oh yeah, time travel rocks there.
Yeah, and both can alter the mind. A monastery and time travel rocks.
That was kind of weird.
Can both change your perspective.
Never get the house dressing. I don't get that joke. Please explain it to me.
Well, Pike's a cook. He's a chef, right?
Oh, so maybe he doesn't like Pike's house dressing.
Maybe that's something that they share, M'Benga and Pike.
Or like it's an inside joke.
Could be.
Okay. The other things are, why do they got to genetically alter people for them to fit in on another planet? One, why? Two, how? How do they tweak it to make them look like that? Wouldn't it be much easier to just do like some rubber appliance? And wouldn't that have been cool to bring like actual Mike Westmore in with like a briefcase going, okay, we'll get you made up for this planet?
Don't you think you'd recognize somebody in a Halloween mask as opposed to somebody that actually looks like a human being? That'd be like saying,
yeah.
I don't understand why Michael Myers was so threatening.
Yeah, Leatherface, he had human skin on his face. I don't know.
Yeah, right. So, no, I like that. It's also another way to say, hey, look, we're staking our own claim here. We're getting into our own territory. We're going to do neater sci-fi stuff. Yeah. And I think that's as a rule, nobody had bumpy foreheads in the original series. So they never had to do it. It's not to say that they couldn't do it. They just never had occasion to do it. That's all. And they did do Kirk's ears once. They did.
That was a surgery, right? It wasn't.
That was a surgery.
Rubber. Yeah. Okay.
So.
I think in one episode somewhere they actually did rubber appliances, which I like. Emergency medical transporter gets a shout out with this, so they might have came up with the idea of what they're going to use it for later on. And they showed it here, but I found it strange that Chap would run towards it and say, "Start up the emergency medical transporter," because she's in the room with the transporter. You just say transporter,
Yeah, but that's next gen. That you can do like the site-to-site transporting.
So they need it there.
Ship side, they need. I believe in TOS, you need to be on a transporter pad.
So it was just like an introduction to that. We have that here.
I guess. Although they do beam me up from a planet, so I guess it could be localized to anywhere if you have a communicator on you. I don't know.
The other thing I had written down is I like that they were planting the seeds for Gorn. Later on to use humans as breeding sacs to plant their seeds.
Yes, to make the Gorn xenogorns.
Competing ideas of liberty, I thought that was a good line. It was trying to be non-judgmental while walking that line of Listen here, Henry kind of thing.
On the nose. On the nose.
Yeah. I think that's all I got. Oh, sedatives made me think of sedatives from Young Frankenstein. I think that's about it. But overall, final thoughts and ratings for this episode of Star Trek Strange New Worlds, Season 1, Episode 1, Strange New Worlds, Star Trek Strange New Worlds, Season 1, Episode 1, Star Trek Strange New Worlds.
For final thoughts, I want to say that this is the most solid, promising new Trek outing that we had seen up until this point. I think by this point we both had Discovery and the abomination that was the Season 1 of Picard. So when they brought this, it was like a homecoming. It was like finally some new Trek that is speaking to me. I've watched the other stuff. I've wanted to like the other stuff. I've just not been driving with the other stuff. Oh, wait, this is now feeling more like Trek for me. I'm not downing the other Treks like you do, you hater.
I don't want to. I want to love it all. I do. I feel so sad about not enjoying it.
I am kind of downing the season 1 of Picard. We'll get there. Many years from now. We'll get there many years from now. But for all the pitfalls, all the potential dangers, how horribly wrong this could have gone. Almost every single choice they made in this was right. And for that, I will give it 4.5 self-sticking bras out of 5.
Which reminds me, I got to update my eBay searches.
Pardon me.
I agree with everything you're saying. I enjoyed it. It was a breath of fresh air. If we are losing all these Star Trek series, I'm glad we're keeping Strange New Worlds. It really is Star Trek to me. I mean, every Star Trek is Star Trek, but everybody has a different feeling of what they enjoy about Star Trek. And Strange New Worlds has what I enjoy about Star Trek in spades. I just love the feeling. I love the writing. I love the look. I love the music. I love the musical. I can't wait to get there. 209. It was just, I remember sitting there watching that going, man, they hit it out of the park. I gave it a standing ovation because I'm that nerd in my living room, standing ovation. But it's not a pilot, but it was the first episode, which I think is a first for us.
True.
So disappointed that it wasn't a pilot, but enjoyed the fact that they weren't redundant. We didn't see the origin story again. So, big fan of Mike McMahon, of course, I've said. I'm a big fan of Akiva Goldsman. I think leaving him to make the decisions is the right thing to do when it comes to Strange New Worlds. I want to see that moving forward. I can't wait for season 3. I'm looking forward to the LA Noir episode the most, I think. We might get a little bit more music, from what I understand. Yay. So, all that said, I'm going to give it the same as you, because it wasn't a perfect episode. It wasn't the best episode.
No.
They're coming. I'm going to give it a 4.5 rare minerals that can cause temporal consciousness displacement.
Just embrace the melty face you. That is the real message, moral, and meaning of this.
Why does he see a Vidian in every reflection?
He's just, he's got PTSD, man. Yeah. PTSD in.
Feel bad for him, but he's enjoying life right now. He's decided to enjoy the other 10 years.
We want to know what you all out there think. Tell us on our Patreon site, patreon.com/Trexploration. And while you're there, support us monetarily. We love the cheddar. You can get us on Instagram at Trexploration Pod. You can get us on Blue Sky at Trexploration. Blue Sky by .social. I don't know what the Blue Sky link is. Email us. Email us at trexplorationpod@gmail.com. Send us something to the post office box. Send us your Funko, P.O. Box 542.
Did you say you had a package, or we're going to save it for next time?
Bayport, New York. What?
Did you say you had a package to open, or we're going to save it for next time?
No. Well, I thought you were going to open something else. So, yes, we'll save it for next time. So,
okay.
All right, so P.O. Box 542, Bayport, New York, 11705. Send us a package there. Speaking of packages, that's P.O. Box 542, Bayport, New York, 11005. You can also buy us a coffee at buyusacoffee.com/Trexploration or /@Trexploration. And that is one way that you can support the show. And please comment down here on the YouTube channel and spread the word about the podcast.
Share. We're not monetized until we get 500 at least subscribers.
Yeah, so we'd like to be able to do that, and we don't need people to share to support monetarily. Just give us a review on Apple Podcasts. Give us a review on YouTube.
Share and gain strength through the sharing.
Right, and do you believe in life after Monte Crystals? Speaking of share, so just remember we'll use your comments on an upcoming episode of Trexploration and Albie. Speaking of upcoming episodes.
Ooh, what do we got coming up? We have, of course, our Star Trek The Next Generation rewatch, which is the one that rules them all for me. That's why we're covering that first. We have Star Trek Season 1, Episode 19, Coming of Age.
Coming of Age.
Written by a friend of mine. So that's coming soon.
Written by a guy who we happen to know.
That happens to have a really cool superhero or villain name.
Yeah.
I'll say that. And the next bonus show, when we're back on bonus shows, we're going back to the beginning again. Right. And we are talking Star Trek, the original series, where no man has gone before. Isn't that right?
Yeah, that's their second pilot, and I believe that we've come back to the top of the order. I think Strange New Worlds was the last of it. So we might have
to flip this. Prodigy. Are we covering Prodigy? Oh. Have we covered Prodigy? Do we want to cover Prodigy?
I feel like I don't even remember if we've covered Prodigy.
I showed this before. I would have showed this.
Probably. All right, so you know what? Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it won't be. So maybe we have to do the premiere Prodigy.
Prodigy. What else is there? Is there more?
I forgot all about Prodigy, so don't ask me.
And we'll have have you seen it all? Sean Ray's like, how could you forget about Prodigy?
Yeah, no, I've seen it all, and we do have to do the interlude with Section 31.
31 is coming soon. So. We're going to organize that. Can't wait to talk about it.
So you'll have many months to wait for Where No Man Has Gone Before. Is what we're here.
We'll get there. So we'll get there. I'm excited to go back, and we're doing it in production order, pretty much, not air date order, because they just messed that all up. I think, right?
Yeah, I like production order much better.
Yeah, me too. Okay. So thank you so much, Chris. I love talking about Star Trek Strange New Worlds with you.
And it was a pleasure for me as well, sir. I get a more solid Star Trek for us to discuss, and it's always fun. So
great job by all. I applaud you.
And thank you for all of our live viewers that were watching with us. Roll for Tarako and anyone else who might have been a wallflower that didn't want to talk, but we appreciate all of you out there that are listening and sharing and watching and spreading the word about Trexploration.
Yes. So for Trexploration, I'm Albie. That's it.
That's right. And for Albie, I'm Chris.
And we'll see you next time.
Do you believe in life? Hit it, or is it punch it?
I think it's hit it.
Hit it.
Yeah. Prodigy. We should probably do Prodigy. It gets good in season 3, is it? 2? What is it? Yeah, this is the Funko Pop, actually.
It's Prodigy, I don't know.
Yeah, how could I not get this, right?
I like the Borg episode of Prodigy.
And it was on sale, so I was like, you got me.
I mean, you could not get it.
I probably should have not gotten it.
It really does look like Charlie Brown. That's insane.
Yeah, but it's a Funko Pop of Star Trek First Contact. Hey, sales will be good, and then they'll know, hey, people like Star Trek, you know?
Yeah.
And we'll get that Picard movie. Yeah, we'll see. All right. Thank you, everybody. Remember to send in those pictures for the end credits. Share. Let everybody know that we're having a fun time on the USS Trexploration.
Bye.
Bye. Peace out. Bye. All right, we got about 5 seconds until we're clear.
So I shouldn't pick my nose?
Not for 5 seconds.
Oh, damn it.